Well, hello. Welcome to TVRI World and good morning. Welcome to our special coverage of Election Day national voting. Today, a pivotal moment in our nation's history. We will witness and participate in a quinquennial feast of democracy. I'm Narendra Pawaka and this is my partner.
And I'm Luisa Kusnandar. Yes, our Feast of Democracy, people of Indonesia, don't forget to go to your respective registered ballot station today and cast your vote. It is such a privilege to be able to choose our own leaders. And remember, your vote matters and you will help shape the course of our collective future. I'll be exercising my rights to vote today, Narendra. And
Yes,
what about you?
Of course. I will too, Luisa. And it's just that first we have to monitor the implementation of 2024 election from across Indonesia. Now, Election Day signifies more than just the outcome. It symbolizes the culmination of our shared values, aspirations, and visions for the future. It is a time for reflection where we evaluate the qualities we seek in our representatives and the direction we wish to take as a society. Now, this morning, our program will take you and guide you through the intricacies of this momentous occasion. Joining us in the studio are one of the distinguished experts, each bringing their unique perspective to our discussion. Well, let's introduce to one of them, Luisa.
That's right. Well, firstly, we will have Ibu Dina Prapto Raharja, PhD, a political scientist specializing in diplomacy as well as political economy. And with her expertise, Ibu Dina later on will shed light on the complex factors at play during this election. She will join us later on after she does her voting.
Yes.
Very diligent of her. And we also have Dr. Radityo F. Arianto, an economist and lecturer at the University of Pelita Harapan. His insights from the point of view of an economist and observance of the 2024 election. He will provide us with valuable analysis as we examine the unfolding events of election today, such an exciting day. And in addition, we will also have our TVRI reporters standing by to report all across Indonesia directly from polling station or TPS in several regions across Indonesia. Now, before we welcome Badina later on, right now we have Mas Adit in the studio. Thank you so much for being here. How are you feeling today?
Thank you very much. Good morning. I'm feeling just fine and ready to vote this afternoon.
We will have time later on because we will have this live show until 11 o'clock.
Yes.
And then later on, of course, all of us will go to our respective polling station to vote, yeah?
Yes. Mas Adit, let's start with a quick question about the review. As we will be here for 3 hours, Luisa, with Mas Adit also. What can we expect in the 3 hours to come, Mas Adit? Just a quick review from your perspective about this election day.
Yes, because I think we have all realized that this elections or general election in Indonesia is the biggest in the world in a single day.
Yes.
So we have to give appreciations to the General Elections Commissions that already plan and make some coordinations with meticulous and detailed planning. Of course, we see a lot of, incidents, violations, But aside from that, I think we have come forward to be countries that hold up the democracy.
Yes.
And it is important, especially for Indonesia, because we have momentum. We are able to tackle the COVID pandemic consequences already. And now we get back to our feet and ready to reach our goals, Indonesians' gold era in 2045.
Yes.
So that will be very, very important days today.
Okay, so we'll get more analysis from you based on political as well as economy. But before we go there, let's first see a mini feature story on the history of general elections in Indonesia. Let's take a further look in this.
As a democracy, general election is the main pillar for Indonesia in electing new leaders. General elections are held to provide direct and open opportunity for the public to vote for persons who are deemed capable of holding certain political posts or deserve to be their representatives at the national down to regional levels. Indonesia has held 12 general elections since 1955 until the last edition in 2019. The history of general elections in Indonesia began during the period of parliamentary democracy under the leadership of President Sukarno. They were held to elect representatives of the people to be seated in the House of Representatives or DPR. During this period until the end of the new order, and then during the brief reforms era which ended in 2001, the President and Vice President were elected by the People's Consultative Assembly or MPR. An apparent shift from previous practices, the 2004 general elections were the first for Indonesian people to vote directly for the state leadership duet. Direct presidential and vice presidential election in 2004 was essentially a political breakthrough in the country's system of governance. The year 2024 will see another breakthrough in the country's system of governance, with direct presidential, vice presidential election entering its 5th edition and direct elections of members of the House of Representatives or DPR, the Regional Representatives Council or DPD, and the Provincial, Regional, Mayoral Legislative Council or DPRDs simultaneously held for the first time. The elections of state leadership duet as well as members of DPR, DPD and DPRDs will be simultaneously held on February 14, 2024. The upcoming 2024 general election is largely anticipated by many as it will elect a new president, with the incumbent President Joko Widodo completing his 2nd term in office next year and not seeking re-election. New candidates for state leadership have been introduced to compete in the elections for the country's top post. The General Elections Commission or KPU has been carrying out election stages since June 14, 2022 until the peak, the voting day. All preparations have continuously been taken not only by the committee in the country, but also by all Indonesian embassies abroad, including the embassy in Manila, the Philippines.
And there you have it, our visualizers of this election day, the first one. And we can see everybody and all the candidates are in the great spirit for the election day today. And now let's see the profile of the presidential candidate number 1. The former Jakarta Governor Anies Rashid Baswedan. Let's have a look.
Born in 1969, Anies Baswedan was a political analyst, university rector and Fulbright scholar with a PhD in public policy from Northern Illinois University. He is widely admired for his scholarly background and oratory skills. Campaign pledges to address what he calls an erosion of democratic values have helped pull the former governor of the nation's capital into 2nd place, according to some opinion surveys. But most polls have Anies neck and neck with the ruling party candidate Ganjar Pranowo and well behind the leading candidate Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto. Anies, who is from a middle-class background in Yogyakarta, a city in Java, began his political path in 2013 when he participated in the presidential candidate convention held by the Democratic Party, led then by former President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono. He then joined as an advisor for the campaign team of Joko Widodo, who was running for Indonesia's 2014 presidential election and was later appointed as education minister after Joko Widodo won the election. But in just 2 years, Joko Widodo replaced him in 2016 and a major reshuffle of his cabinet. Anies Baswedan made his way back onto the political stage by running for governor of Jakarta in 2017 with the support of Jokowi's contender in the last presidential election, Prabowo Subianto. His rise in 2017 was controversial as he accepted the endorsement of hardline Islamist groups that had agitated his opponent, and then Jakarta Governor Basuki Cahayapurnama, an ethnic Chinese Christian who was later jailed for insulting Islam. Anies, who espouses moderate Islam, was accused of doing little.
Well, there you have it. That is the profile of the first presidential election, Anies. And at the moment, we also have information that Mahfud MD is currently at the ballot, going to give his vote. Okay, so next we will move on and we will hear, we will see, watch a profile of the presidential candidate number 2, who is retired Lieutenant General Prabowo Subianto, currently sitting defense minister, and here's the profile for you.
The election in the world's third largest democracy sees leading candidate Prabowo Subianto, the defense minister and former general, facing off against former provincial governors Ganjar Pranowo and Anies Baswedan. Prabowo, a former Special Forces commander, has held a strong lead in opinion polls for the February 14th election, but his military modernization drive drew flack in a second televised face-off focused on security and geopolitics. Born into an elite family, Prabowo's father, Sumitro Joyo Hadikusumo, was one of the country's most respected economic planners and former President Suharto's cabinet. Prabowo entered the Indonesian military in 1970, but his stellar military career, during which he rose through the ranks with remarkable speed, unraveled quickly after Suharto's fall. In 1998, he was discharged for misinterpreting orders in the abduction of anti-Suharto activists and was accused of instigating riots that killed hundreds of people just before Suharto's downfall. Dismissed from the army soon after, shunned by the Jakarta elite, and going into self-exile in Jordan for some years, Prabowo became one of Indonesia's most reviled men. He denies any wrongdoing and was never charged. Still, in just over a decade, he managed a striking transformation, becoming a successful businessman and the popular head of a political party. He ran as a vice president candidate with one of his family rivals' daughter, Megawati Soekarno Putri, in 2009, but the pair were defeated by Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono. In 2014, the former general ran for president, though losing to Joko Widodo. In 2019, he tried his presidential candidate luck for a second time with business person and ex-vice governor Sandiaga Uno as his running mate. The pair went head-to-head with incumbent President Joko Widodo and the head of the National Ulama Council, Ma'ruf Amin. This year, Prabowo's running mate is Widodo's eldest son, Gibran Rakabuming Raka. In late 2023, the Constitutional Court, headed by Jokowi's brother-in-law, tweaked election eligibility criteria, allowing the president's son to run for vice president on Prabowo's ticket. The decision sparked fears about a return to the nepotism and patronage politics that characterized the decades-long rule of former President Suharto.
So that is our visualizers for the second presidential candidates. And just now we got an update about Mahfud MD is also already ended his voting in Yogyakarta. And we will wait for Pak Ganjar for coming to Semarang for the polling votes.
Exactly, and we will continuously give you an update. We will give you the latest information and visuals later on as all our presidential and vice presidential candidates have given their vote. Now, let's go back here to the studio where we have Mas Radit right here to share more of his insights on this political event. This is definitely one of the most important day in Indonesia's history. And well, to be honest here, the situation in Indonesia is it's a bit tense,
Yep.
a bit heated up. What is your opinion? What can we expect from this election today?
I think it's normal, yeah.
Yeah.
Approaching the election days, which is today, the political temperature little bit going up. But so far, we are as a nations are mature enough, yeah, and to manage all these kind of differences, yeah. And we have 3 candidates that also play very important role in calming down its constituent. Yeah. So far is from the perspective or my opinions, yeah. I see we have stability.
Yes.
And I have some confidence that we will go this day, the election days, and the counting days later on. Indonesia will be fine, yeah, as long as all the parties, all the apparatus, governments, and everything's hold up integrity, impartiality, honest, and transparent in the process of calculations, the ballots.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yes, honesty and transparency is the key
Yep.
for this election day spirit. And as you can see on the visualizer, we see Chaimin in the voting station has been already ended his voting. And of course, as we go along today's day on election day, we will be taking you to a place here in Indonesia. And right now we will take you to Ambon, Maluku, where Eni Parinusa, I think, has more for that. Okay, while we're waiting for Eni Parinusa, we'll see the visualizers there. Chaimin is still on the voting station, and we can see Luisa there. I mean, everybody's in a great spirit and health for the voting today in election day.
Yeah, I mean, like I woke up today and then it was
Yeah.
so cloudy and
is.
it's been raining since last night. I was like,
is.
I wonder if it's gonna dampen the spirit of, especially,
Yeah.
a big part of the voters this time around on this voting is all the Gen Zs. But I'm pretty sure this time everyone is very excited to
Yes.
vote, especially for the first-time voters.
Yes. So
Yes.
Jakarta today, as Luisa mentioned, it is raining since 2 a.m. and we were worried about the polling stations here in Jakarta, whether or not they will get a flood there. But let's see here we will take you to Ambon, Maluku, and of course we will take you to Makassar, Sulawesi Selatan, just in a bit.
Okay, so now we're going to try to do another call to our TVRI World reporter from Ambon, Maluku. We have Eni Parinusa, who is going to give us a live report on the voting day and what is happening right there in Ambon, Maluku. Let's give her a call. Eni? Good morning, Eni from Jakarta. Can you hear us? Good morning, Eni. Can you please give us the latest update of what's going on in Ambon? We can hear you, Eni.
Well, good morning,
Thank you.
Narendra, and also Luisa. Have a great day today, and very good morning from Ambon, Maluku. Such a lovely day today, and also very important day for us, Indonesia, where the history is about to change as the people all over the nation is taking part in the world's biggest simultaneously single-day election. It's been 75 days since the campaign first conducted by candidates, plus 3 days of quiet period. And looking back, the campaign pace was full of ups and downs, not to mention controversy, fake news, and a lot of different narrative that might be affecting. Very first day, the Electoral Commission had encouraged people to not be abstained from voting and be aware of how important and meaningful their votes are for the nation's future. In Ambon today, Narendra and Luisa, 940 polling stations spread across 5 districts and 50 villages are open for eligible voters. And from the final 4 list, or DPT, released by the Electoral Commission, here in Ambon, approximately 252,367 registered voters will cast their ballot today. And I can tell you, Narendra and Luisa, from the atmosphere here in the polling station number 26 in Batumeja and also 06 in Ahusen, people are excited to come and elect their future president, vice president, also parliament members for the next 5 years. The polling station has opened since 7 a.m. local time and it close exactly at 1 p.m. local time. People that come to vote today are enthusiastic in taking their parts of this historical moment, especially for the first-time voters as they get to experience this for the very first time in their life. Just like my friends, Jofi here, one of the young voters that has just took part in 2024 election. Jofi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
And this is your first time to use your electoral votes. How do you feel?
It's exciting and it's nerve-wracking. It's exciting in a way because, you know, you're making a change, you're participating in making a change for our country, and it's nerve-wracking because your decision is vital to the future of our country. So I really have to think it through before, you know, making a decision in whoever I'm choosing. So.
What do you think, your opinion on how significant young?
I feel like it's so significant and it's so important, especially now. I feel like a lot of the young people, you know, they don't really care about like the election, you know. I feel like it's important because, you know, as young people, we are responsible in you know, making a change. And by voting, we are also participating in making a change. So I feel like it's very important. So.
Very significant.
Yeah, very significant.
And what's your, do you have high hopes or expectation for the leaders that you chose today?
I have high expectations. I have many expectations in whoever won. Do you know what I mean? I would love for the country to change for the better, you know, obviously for the better. And because I fully put my trust in whoever I chose, and whether or not they won, I feel like whoever won is definitely worthy in that they won the election, and yeah, I feel like that's it.
Okay, well, thank you, Jofi. Have a great day. Valentine's Day, by the way. Have a great day. Well, Luisa Narendra, in order to avoid error during the ballot casting, the voting organizers group in each polling stations also keep reminding people about procedure. Each voter that arrive at the poll will be required to bring their notification letters that has been sent to each of their respective listed addresses as a proof of their identity, and this is other than bringing their e-ID card, of course. Once verified, each voter will get 5 ballot papers with different 5 colors, and the voter also reminded to ensure that the ballot papers are not damaged before cast the ballot, and they are advised to unfold the ballot papers before they enter the voting booth. As they done casting, then the voter are asked to dip their finger in ink like this as a precaution against voter fraud. So the voters that taking part in the election today came with pretty high hopes towards the candidates of their choice. Both seniors and also young voters came up with the same idea of change, especially in social and economic sector. They do believe, though, that the future leader will be able to put more attention and concern towards the prosperity of the people who live in small maritime-based islands just like Ambon. Meanwhile, in order to secure the running of 24 election in Ambon, Narendra and Luisa, the resort police of Ambon and Leasa Island alone had prepared 722 officers, and there will be more than 1,000 security officers combined with the military. Each polling stations will be guarded by 2 police officers and also assisted by civilians neighborhood guards, or we known as LINMAS. From the monitoring of TVRI so far, the voting process conducted successfully, and we'll be waiting for the real count result while witnessing another change unrevealed in the national history today. Finger crossed, and let's hope for the best. Anyway, happy voting and happy Valentine's Day to you, Narendra and Luisa. I'm Annie Baranusa reporting for TVRI World Live. Now back to you.
Thank you so much, Annie Parinusa, for your report. Such a positive spirit coming from her right there.
Yes.
And it's good that, I mean, it's so early and we can see that everything is going smoothly and successfully right there. And I mean, I really just like listening to the spirit of the first-time voter. They're just still very excited.
Shout out to Jovi.
Yeah, giving their first time vote. And exactly as what just now Jovi has mentioned, that this is very important because this will determine where Indonesia is going to be leaded to for the next 5 years.
Yes, great news, Luisa. And it's good to know that in Ambon it is sunny out there, and we hope in Jakarta we will have a sunny day also coming soon in ahead. And next on the next visuals, we will take you to Makassar, Sulawesi Selatan, and of course we will take you to a polling station of President Jokowi. And of course, in 3 hours to come, we will take you to Aceh, Yogyakarta, and many more to come.
Plenty more live reports to
Yes.
come. In the moment though, let's go see the visuals where we can see the presidential candidate number 1, Anies Baswedan, at the moment is giving his vote right there.
And the location would be in Lebak Bulus, Jakarta Selatan. We see the candidates number 1 there in Jakarta, South Jakarta, in Lebak Bulus. Anies Baswedan is coming with her wife, and also mom, and also sons.
That is the daughter of Anies Baswedan right there, as we can see. And Anies Baswedan is opening his wallet right there, showing off his electronic identity card to show as proof. I mean, that is the basic tool that you need to bring to the voting ballot.
True that, like Annie said, do not forget to bring your identification card. And here Anies looking bright and smiley, showing his identification card to the camera, so that we know that he is ready to cast.
And we can hear right there, there are the sounds, the cheers from the supporters of Anies Baswedan right there. And next we will have a live reportage from our very own Siska Becker, TVRI World reporter, who's going to report from the voting ballot to see President Jokowi to cast his vote. In the meantime, that is what's happening at the moment. If we can check with Mas Radit here, can you please explain to us for the basics, for people who are first time voting, you know how everyone come to the voting place thinking they will vote for the president and vice president only and not thinking too much about the legislative election. Can you please explain to us what will all these first-time voters expect when they come to the voting ballot, how many papers they will get, and how to vote?
Yeah. Maybe I begin with how many people, especially for the young people. Statistics shows about 52%, more than 52% of the voters are the millennials. And most of them is the first-time voters. And today we have the most complicated election system that has so many choices. If you see the paper, the ballot paper, there is a series of confusions, complexities. It's not easy. However, we hope that they can at least choose their presidential candidates, choose the party, and the rest, for example, legislator from Republic Indonesia, DPR RI, or province, or the lower level, if they can choose, they choose. But if not, if I'm not mistaken, I think for the presidents and the party, I think at least these two must be chosen.
The president and the party.
President and the party.
Exactly. I mean, especially when it comes to the calegs, the legislative election, it gets really confusing because there are not even pictures for some of them, you know. So it's like, even though, like, first of all, you don't really know all these calegs, you really have to take an active role to get to know them and to vote who is it that you're really voting for and why.
Yes, and here we see, next we see Ganjar in visuals, where Ganjar is at his polling station, ready to cast. Let's take a look.
So we're still waiting on the visuals of the presidential candidate number 3, Ganjar Pranowo, and we are still at the moment trying to get in touch. Okay, right now we are seeing in the visuals Ganjar Pranowo is at his voting station along with his crowd and all the medias, the reporters following him, and we are getting a little choppy visuals there, but we're still trying to get the best visuals for you.
Yes, and for your information, Louisa, Mas Radit, and also the viewers, the candidates number 3 is at Semarang at the moment, and they are divided into 2 areas. One is in Semarang and one is in Jogja. And at the moment, the people who are casting are Anies, Mahfud, and Caimin. They already cast their vote on the polling stations. And we would like to say hi to our viewers in Jakarta. The Jakarta polling stations are for the candidates number 1. And in Bogor also, we would like to say good morning, Bogor, for the candidates number 2. So hello, everybody. And this is Ganjar visualizers in Semarang. As you can see, I think it is after rainy condition. We can see the roads are in a wet condition, and everybody's in a high spirit for the election day there in Semarang. So, good morning, Semarang.
So before we move on later on with our reporter Siska Becker to see the voting station where President Jokowi is going to cast his vote, let's talk more with Mas Radit right here. Some people are saying that it's very likely to have 1 cycle. Some people are saying maybe it's going to have 2 cycles. If you can just explain to us simply, what kind of results do you think we are going to expect this time?
The decisions whether it will be 1 round or 2 rounds.
Yes,
it's up to the people. Yeah. So in order to get 2 rounds, a candidate must win more than 50% of the votes, and also in half or more than half of the province, they has to have minimal 20%. So it's not easy, but it's possible, yeah, to get 1 round. Yeah, most likely, in my opinions, maybe we will go 2 rounds.
2 rounds for this year.
Yes, but I don't know.
Okay.
Because it's up to the people. However, for 1 round or 2 round, it has its own advantages. Okay. For 1 rounds, of course, we have, efficient in time, efficient in the costs.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can save a lot of money, and we have quick transfer of power, yeah, from the outgoing presidents to the incoming presidents.
Yes.
On the other hand, for 2 rounds, we also have advantages, yeah, especially for the people who lose at the first rounds. So they can internalize their choices again, changing. Yeah, it's not ideal, but maybe it's closer to the first candidate that lose. Yeah, so both of them is, in my opinion, is good, and we can afford it. Yeah, for Indonesia. Yeah, and what most important is actually is the integrity again, transparency of the process, and the impartiality from everybody. Yeah, so if we can do that, transparency, rights, yeah, with the integrity, I think people will accept whether it is 1 round or 2 rounds. That's my opinion.
Let's see, shall we?
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, now we are, as we are going to jump into the visuals while President Jokowi is about to attend, we're still waiting on the most current visual. President Jokowi is currently just arriving at his voting station to cast his ballot. We will go further into that, and we will talk about that later on after we get the visuals. At the moment, we will still be chatting with Mas Radit on what to expect on this election. Some people are also actually saying that, well, I'm not sure who I want to vote because, I mean, this race is very tight, but I want to have a stable Indonesia, especially in terms of economy of Indonesia. So in terms of that, which one is actually better for the economy of Indonesia? 1 round or 2 rounds?
For the economy.
For the
Okay, we see Mas Radit is thinking.
of course, for the economy, of course, one round is better.
Yeah.
Ya kan? But the economy needs stability. Yeah. If one rounds with a lot of violations.
Exactly. Some people are saying maybe it's a quick voting,
Yes.
quick election, but then how if it get heated up so fast after the election?
Yeah, it will create instability, and it's not good for the economy either. So the most important things is not one round or two rounds, is the process is transparent, is just, is impartiality or not. If it's not, then whatever result is, it will create instability in Indonesia.
But how do we maintain stability though? I mean, it is just the heated temperature that is going on, especially with the social media
Yeah.
and all the, all the informations going around at the moment.
Yeah, I think from these three candidates, they already do their parts, yeah, to calm down their constituent. Yeah. I think it needs a lot of collaborations, a lot of understanding what is the most important in these elections. It's not just the presidential candidates who will be won, but what is the next? What is the next challenges of Indonesia? Yeah, we know, yeah, for example, yeah, from my perspective as an economist, we have a lot of challenges, especially, for example, the growth of our economy. We need to grow 6 to 7%, yeah, in order to reach our golden era in 2045. If not,
7%.
yes, if not, we will have middle income trap. However, another complications is we not just need the growth of the economy, but also closing the gap between the have and the have-nots. That's also important for, again, yeah, for the stability and for creating social welfare to our nations. Yeah, in doing that, it's not easy, and let's people decide who are the right candidates to hold those kind of challenges. Yeah, other than many challenges. Yeah, for example, we have increasing debt, for example, from the economy, and how this building of infrastructure can benefit the most of Indonesian people, not just few peoples, for example. So a lot of challenges that we have, and we have to choose which candidate the best to do that.
Right, and we will dive more into that,
Yeah.
to that side of the economic side of what will the election impact, how will that impact Indonesia's economy in the future.
Sure.
But at the moment, we will go to Siska Becker. Right now, she's about to give her live report. Siska, can you hear us? Siska Becker?
Good morning,
Go ahead.
Louisa and Narendra, right there at the studio. First of all, happy election day to all of us. It is a very exciting day for all of us Indonesians as 200 million voters head off to the polling stations to do their constitutional rights to cast their votes for the future leaders of Indonesia. It is now 8:38 Jakarta time. As you can see, the weather is still a bit gloomy. It has been raining nonstop since early morning. In fact, it is actually still drizzling right now. We certainly hope that the gloomy weather will not dampen the spirits of the voters to come to the polling stations. Now, Louisa and Narendra, as you know, there are over 800,000 polling stations all across Indonesia. I am now at one of the voting stations that will serve the constituents of the Gambir area in central Jakarta. Now, what makes this particular voting station significant, this will be the voting station of President Joko Widodo and First Lady Iriana Joko Widodo. In fact, we hear that the President and the First Lady is about to arrive. We are seeing that the presidential security protocols are being made. The area has been sterilized, and we've been told repeatedly that the president is to arrive shortly. In the meantime, let me tell you what has happened so far. The voting station has begun operation since 7:30 this morning. It started with the oath reading by KPPS officials, where they stated their commitment to uphold their integrity, to do their work as election officials in this particular TPS, to put forward the interests of the country above all else. After that, all of us also get to witness the opening of the ballot boxes in front of the witnesses as well, to ensure that the ballots were all still sealed. There was a bit of a commotion just now. Now, our colleagues from the media is pretty tense because, as I said before, we are waiting for the arrival of the President and the First Lady. I think from the looks of it, they are about to arrive. So let me just tell you how the event unfolded so far here at TPS 10 in Gambir Central, Jakarta. So what I can say, so far, I think the situation is pretty conducive. Everything seems to be in order. After the official stated all the mechanism and the rules and regulations, we see voters starting to come in. They took a line. They actually took turns to go into the voting booth. Although I think there is a slight trepidation that voters will be taking their time a little bit more in the voting booth, especially in this election, because as you know, Narendra and Luisa, this is a simultaneous election, not just for presidential and vice presidential, but also to vote for members of parliament. Starting from the national legislative and also regional legislative candidates. So there are quite a number of ballots for voters to choose from. Now, let me just quickly go through the number of ballots that the voters have to take with them inside the voting booth. We have the gray ballot, which is for voting the president and vice president. And then we have the yellow ballot for voting your pick for the DPR candidate or House of Representatives. And then there's the blue ballot. We'll show you all the candidates for DPRD Provinsi or Provincial Legislative Council. And then the voters will get the red ballot that has the candidates for DPD or Regional Representative Council. Now, those 4 ballots will then be brought by the voters to the voting booth as they do their part in the democratic process to choose the leaders from the top executive branch to all legislative branch for the upcoming state leadership. Now, for your information, Narendra and Luisa, outside Jakarta, actually the number of ballots will be 5, not just the 4 I mentioned earlier. For regions outside Jakarta, there'll also be the green ballot to choose their pick for Regional Legislative Council. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of names to choose from and to vote for in this election. Now, as I said before, there is a slight concern that the voters might take a little bit more time and that would hold up the line. So if we can probably do a recommendation for our viewers, for voters who are still preparing themselves to go into their voting stations, maybe you can do like a quick browse or a quick research to find out and learn which are the candidates that are registered in your specific region. So at least you know who you're voting for, and you're not going to be voting for complete strangers when you see them in the voting booth. So Luisa and Narendra, as we said before, we are still waiting for the arrival of President Joko Widodo and First Lady Iriana. As you can imagine, the excitement is really clear. Everybody is really excited to welcome the president because this will be his last election as president as he gets ready to pass the baton for the next winner of the election. We don't know who that is yet. The election process has just begun. And as you know, this is the world's biggest one-day democratic election ever. So the eyes of the world is on Indonesia. And of course, we'll be updating you with all the latest news from the election, especially from here, TPS 10 in Gambir Central, Jakarta, where the president and the first lady is about to arrive. So we'll keep you updated. We'll get back to you. We'll be back on air soon to tell you more about what transpired here, what happened here in the TPS. Hopefully the president will make some sort of statements, because I'm sure our media colleagues and everybody in the public, Indonesian voters would like to know the president's take on this particular election, the 2024 general election. But for now, I'll give it back to you, to the studio, Narendra and Luisa. Thank you so much. This is all we can report for now. We'll keep a lookout for the president and the first lady, who we suspect will be soon here at TPS 10, but we'll return with more updates that's for sure. In the meantime, we wish you all a very lovely and pleasant Valentine/Election Day right here in Indonesia. I'm Siska Becker, together with camera person Arya Tanu, reporting live from TPS 10 Gambir, Central Jakarta for TVRI World. Back to you to the studio, Narendra and Luisa.
Thank you so much, Siska, for that wonderful, elaborate report on what's happening right there at the voting booth. And we're still waiting for the arrival of President Jokowi right there. We'll be in touch with Siska later on to see the latest update. And at the moment, we will go now to see the visuals right here where the presidential candidate Ganjar Pranowo is currently casting his vote right there from Lempong Sari, Gajah Mungkur, Semarang.
Yes, as we travel from Jakarta Gambir to Semarang, we see Ganjar is casting his vote on the polling station. This is Ganjar Pranowo's polling station, as you can see here in TVRI World's Election Day Special.
As we can see from the monitor right there, Ganjar Pranowo along with his wife and his son, Alam Ganjar, is casting his vote. And as we can see right there, there's a lot of ballot to put in, really.
It is. It is. Outside Jakarta, as Siska mentioned, it is 5 ballots.
The red ballot, the green, the blue, the yellow, and the gray.
Yes.
I mean, it is true that although maybe at this point you already know and you have already decided which president you want to choose, but in terms of the DPRD, the DPR, DPD, you really need to have take an active role and know who you are going to vote, or at least which party you are going to vote for. So at this point, Ganjar Pranowo has cast his ballot. Mahfud MD, his vice presidential candidate, has also casted his vote. And we are currently waiting for the presidential and vice presidential candidate number 2, which is Prabowo Subianto and Gibran Rakabuming Raka, to cast their vote too. And here we can see Anies Baswedan also showing that he has casted his vote with the purple ink.
Purple ink.
The very famous purple ink of the Indonesian election right there. And also this is just a good reminder that, and also encouragement for the rest of Indonesia to vote today, really.
Yes, vote today. And as you cast your vote, and when you get their purple ink on your finger, sometimes in some cafes or in some shopping areas, they will provide discounts.
A lot, really, actually. Today, I mean, it's all about, it's a democracy party. It's a party for the entire Indonesia. It's also Valentine's Day. I mean, it's just a perfect day, really, to celebrate our democracy and to really get involved. I mean, it's such a pity for those people who really are wasting their vote and deciding to go golput, when you can really get involved and decide the leader for the future Indonesia.
It is, Luisa. And the 2024 general elections is the first ever simultaneous elections of the legislative and presidential elections. That's why we got a lot of ballots to cast. And of course, for the info that Siska Becker has given us, you have to know each one of them so you don't take much time to cast on the polling station.
Now, if you can go back to Mas Radit right here, Mas Radit, how do you see the preparation of this simultaneous general election this time around? It's quite complicated, isn't it? I mean, like, even for us living in Jakarta every day, we see all these posters of all this legislative, all the caleg's. That yet again, we still don't know what are they offering to us, what are their promises, and the whole system is just really complicated. Are we actually prepared for this election?
As I said before, this is the biggest single day, general elections in the world.
Yes.
And there is a lot of complications, there is a lot of risks, but in my opinions, we see some, of course, violations, incidents, impartiality here and there. However, overall, we have to give appreciations to General Elections Commissions who already prepare and also run this process until we have at today's general election day. However, yeah, there is some notes, important notes, yeah, especially for the breaching of some people say morality, ethicals, yeah, in several institutions, yeah. Mahkamah Konstitusi, for example,
Mahkamah Konstitusi,
Constitutional
yes.
Court.
A constitutional court.
Yeah, number one. And the second, the latest from honorary board of General Elections Commissions, I think they also some dispute, especially regarding of number two, yeah, the candidacy of Mr. Gibran, who are the son of the existing president. I think this is not easy. However, we want and we hope that these elections will be run and the process will be completed. And if there is any violation, infringement in the past, it needs to be stopped now, because people watching, okay, not just domestically but also internationally.
The world, yes.
Globally, yeah.
And there is so many watchdog, yeah, election watchdog, and it is important. Again, it is important to hold these general elections transparent, just, fair, yeah. So the result, whatever it is, 1 round, 2 rounds, yeah, who will be the presidents, number 1, number 2, number 3, people can accept that because they say, okay, it is fair, okay. I can think again and focus on my, you know, my goals, yeah. So everybody can, you know, go back to their works, and together as a nation, we can reach our goal for 2045. Yeah.
Which is the golden Indonesia.
Yes, the golden era of Indonesia. So again, the process needs to be transparent, with integrity, with impartiality, fair, yeah, no intimidations. So whatever the result, I think we are as a nation is mature enough, yeah, to accept this, and we want to you know, go on with our lives and also be better nations. Yeah,
Be better nations.
be better nations.
Exactly, where, as you said just now, there was a little bit of quite a controversy going on
Yes.
when Gibran started to be the running mate of
Yep.
Prabowo Subianto, and it has somewhat dampened down, but
Yes.
of course, I mean, whatever the result is,
Yep.
it is still an issue for a lot of Indonesians
Yes.
out there. And as we can see right now in the visuals, our President Joko Widodo is casting his vote right now. And it was somewhat also an issue, the fact that he was, some medias are criticizing him for campaigning for his own son. And he did say that actually, as per the Undang-Undang Dasar in
Yep.
Indonesia, it is mentioned that presidents are allowed to do their campaigns.
Yep.
What's your opinion on this, Mas Radit?
I think we have to put the moral and ethics as the foundations of above the law. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, as a statesman, I think, yeah, president needs to show his impartiality. It is important because he is the president of all Indonesian people, yeah, not just the people from his party or the people from or who votes his son, for example. Yeah. So, but it is difficult. Yeah. I think there is so many debates. Yeah. What is the reason why Gibran need to, you know, be offered to
run as the
vice president of Prabowo, for example? Yeah, of course they want to win the elections. Yeah, especially the presidential elections. However, if you are a president, yeah, I hope that we want to see the statesmen above the politicians, because people will accept if, the result is, you win. People will accept because you already showed the impartiality. But it is very hard for some people, especially for his own party, the PDIP. It must be hurt.
Exactly.
Feel betrayal and so on and so forth. So it's not easy. I'm not blaming anybody. What I said is it is important for the president as a statement to show impartiality and becoming the president of all Indonesian citizens. That's what I said.
Well, there you go.
There you go. And as you can see on the clock, it is 8:55. It's almost 9 a.m. And we are here on the visuals about the President Jokowi's polling station. It's located in Gambir, Central Jakarta.
President Jokowi right there with Ibu Iriana Jokowi are casting their votes. Looking very happy and smiley right there.
Yes.
And
as you can see,
this is his last vote.
It is
This
his
is
last
his last
vote.
time casting his vote. Yes.
See, he is smiling and putting on his vote on the ballot. And there you have it. So I think it will take quite some time to cast, as the ballots are many, Louisa. So make sure that you bring your identification card, and when you come to the polling station, you already know which candidates will you be voting to.
And President Jokowi, as usual, is wearing his iconic T-shirt with half his sleeve folded. And of course, we all know that one of his very main projects is the Nusantara City, our future capital city right there. And some of the presidential and vice presidential candidate is saying, oh, there's going to be a change. It's not happening. What do you think?
Okay. For example, you mentioned earlier about the media, criticize the presidents. I think this is a good check and balance process.
Check and balance, yes.
Check and balances. So the one who hold the power, will execute all the planning. And it is important for people to watch the executions. If the people feel that the execution benefited the most of Indonesian people, so they usually will agree with the presidents. If only benefited few peoples and not benefiting, the majority of the peoples, then the check and balance process will be done. And the media play a very, very important role. Regarding of relocations of capital city from Jakarta to Kalimantan, IKN, I think it's already become the undang-undang, the regulations, So whoever the president is, it must execute to relocate our capital to the new capitals. Okay.
It is a must.
It is a must. There is no choices because this is the instruction from the regulations from undang-undang. And but the difference maybe is the stages. From what I watch, hear, and listen to the campaign from these three candidates, I think maybe number one needs re-evaluations. The stages is not as fast as the other candidates. The number two may be full force, 100%, according to the planning. Number three, maybe the moderate one, in the middle of number one and number two. It is good, in my opinions, because we have three choices how we are going to tackle the problems, in Jakarta, for example. We have a lot of flood, we have a lot of, traffics, I think we have to move. And now everybody already agree on that. However, the places that is chosen, the methods, and the benefit of the people, yeah, I agree that maybe we need some adjustment, yeah, especially the money, the fund, yeah, who will invest in IKN, who will pay for the IKN, yeah. Learning from Australia, for example.
Australia.
Yeah, the Canberra, yeah. Canberra is chosen as the new capital, and you know Melbourne and Sydney cannot agree because they want the capital city in their city, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And they choose Canberra, and then but who financed Canberra is actually the money from the budget of national budget, yeah. In Indonesia, we depend on the investor, domestic, and also international investor. And this international investor so far, yeah, very hesitate to invest in IKN. Yeah, that's already creating a problem. So, building infrastructures is one of the tools to maintain the growth of the economic of Indonesia, including IKN, yeah, building IKN. However, we need to reevaluate the impact, the economic impact, the social impact, yeah, about the building of infrastructures. If the building of infrastructures for the sake only for the infrastructures and only benefited to few peoples, I think it's not wise. Yeah. We need to choose building infrastructures that has impact on a lot of the majority of the people. So that's my opinion. Yeah.
Well, this IKN is supposedly President Jokowi's legacy, and that's what he's trying to push. And at the moment, we're seeing on screen right there, presidential candidate number 2, Prabowo Subianto, waving at the cameras, and he's ready to cast his vote as well. And he is, as we see just now, he's wearing his iconic light blue shirt.
Light blue. Yes, and on the TPS it said TPS 033, which if it's mentioned, it is in Hambalang, Bogor. And of course, we will have our TVRI World reporter will be reporting soon, and that is Bramuda, while we are waiting and seeing candidates number 2, Prabowo is ongoing to cast his vote.
And this is perhaps his last time running for the president position. What's your thought on this? I wonder what it feels to be
Prabowo?
Prabowo, yes.
Okay, I think Prabowo, one of the candidates that I think he is a statesman, yeah, because he lose several times, and he can accept that one, and try again and try again and try again. Yeah. So I see Prabowo is a good candidate. I see Anies Baswedan a good candidate. I see Ganjar Pranowo is a good candidate. So we have 3 the best candidates for these nations to lead our nations. Yeah. So maybe it can, you know, cooling down the differences, yeah, a lot of peoples, because we have to maintain the unity, yeah. But this unity, I think, based on, you know, the process of integrity, transparency that I already said before. So a lot of controversy, yeah, for these 3 candidates. Each candidate has its own weakness and strength, okay. But overall, I see all of them, yeah, is the right choices for Indonesian people to choose. If they use their conscience, yeah, you can choose whatever or whoever you want to choose, yeah, because it's your rights, and you can exercise your political rights and also obligations to who will lead the nations, yeah. So I believe that Indonesia has three best candidates.
Three best candidates.
Three best candidates.
Yep.
That is really great to know.
Yep.
A good insight right there. And you spoke just now about weaknesses and strength.
Yep.
What can you say about Prabowo Subianto? What is his weakness and what is his strength?
Yes. His strength is actually his determinations. Yeah.
Determination.
Yes. To be the leader of Indonesia. Okay. He never give up.
Yes.
Yeah. He is the soldiers from the special forces. He is, very strong leader, creating his party, yeah, and he can make a big coalitions, yeah, of course with the help of Pak Jokowi, yeah, and Pak Jokowi, who has a very excellent performance, yeah, as a president during these 9 years, building a lot of infrastructures,
yes.
yeah, and he entrusted Pak Prabowo is actually, we show, yeah. So everybody knows that who is the, what do you call it? Who has the support the most from President Jokowi. I think everybody knows is Pak Prabowo. So the weakness, yeah, we can see the history. Okay. 1998 and so on and so forth.
The controversies, yeah.
Controversies, yeah. Many peoples, yeah, especially the one who lost, the parents who lost the lost one in 1998. Most of them will not agree about this Prabowo candidacy. Okay. Me personally, yeah, I see that these three candidates has its own weakness and strength, and the people can choose according to their conscience. Yeah. So, as a nations, we need to be united and reach our Indonesia Emas together. Yeah, the golden era of Indonesia 2045.
Well, bottom line, that is our goal for Indonesia to reach that golden era by 2045.
Yep.
And as we can see right now, that presidential candidate Prabowo Subianto is currently casting his vote right there.
Yes, in Bogor, West Java polling station, and as you can see, it took 5 minutes. Still, he is casting their vote, so it will took you like 5 to 10 minutes for one voter to actually vote and be done in the polling station. So make sure you learn all of the candidates perfectly.
And from the presidential candidate number 2, Prabowo Subianto, we will also move on to another visual where the vice presidential candidate Gibran Rakabuming Raka is also casting his vote. And in the meantime, we are still looking at Prabowo Subianto right there, folding his card.
And yes, it's the clock shows 9 past 7 here in Jakarta, in TVRI World. And let's do a quick review so far in 1 hour. What have we accomplished in the election day special? So we see Anies Baswedan, Mahfud, Caimin, Ganjar, and President Jokowi already cast their vote. Prabowo Subianto is casting his vote at Bogor at the moment in his polling station. And on the way is the vice presidential candidate Gibran will also cast his vote. So when Gibran is already done and Prabowo is already done, and that means all of the candidates are here today and have casted their vote on each of the polling stations.
Okay, we're still waiting on the visuals. But yeah, it is really interesting, Mas Radit, how Prabowo have been running to become the president of Indonesia, and he was in fact the opposition of President Jokowi.
Yep.
And yet now they can unite.
Yep.
He can unite his powers now with President Jokowi's son Gibran Rakabuming Raka. What is going on? What do you think has happened?
I think it's the effort by Mr. President Jokowi that in 2019 we have very strong divisions of this country, and a lot of people cannot understand that Mr. Prabowo joined as a defense minister of Pak Jokowi after 2019 elections. But when we got COVID, President Jokowi has full support, even from the oppositions. So one of the success why we can tackle the COVID, because we have unity, and everybody agree that this is our national problems. We have to react forcefully, and all this decision is made quite fast, to provide a lot of vaccine, and then opening a lot of what do you call it, hospital,
Yes.
and we are one of the best nations to tackle this one. So learning from the history, I think the oppositions can join the winner of the political competition, such as general elections. I think it's a good one. However, we still need oppositions as the mechanism, as a balance and check and balance mechanism, because power tend to corrupt. If you have absolute power, you corrupt absolutely. So I have no problems with opposition joining the whoever won the elections, but we still need the oppositions in order to maintain check and balance mechanism. We have arguments with our opponents, for example, but the opponent is not our enemy. If we can do discussions, and exchanging ideas and information, that's the best situations, is the best environment to create a good decisions or public policy.
Share ideas openly with
Yes.
each other.
Because we can evaluate whether this decision is good for the nations or just benefited few people, for example. We can evaluate, because this is the taxpayer money. We have to be accountable, as a government or executive branch. So it is important. Again, it is important. Me personally, I see the join of Pak Prabowo to Pak Jokowi, in my opinions, is successful to handle the COVID. So we have no big differences when we tackle the COVID.
And that's what's important for the nation at that moment.
To be united.
In that condition right there, when COVID was it hit Indonesia really bad. And so they have managed this successfully together. And right there we can see on the screen it's raining.
It is, everybody's getting wet.
Raining pretty heavy right there.
So the raining is actually can cooling down the
the heat,
the
temperature.
tension.
Yes.
That's good.
That's
Literally and metaphorically. That's right. And it is such a good quote just now that you mentioned that the opponent is not actually the enemy, but having an opponent is actually good, because that's where you have really great discussion. And then if you have the same goal, which is a better Indonesia in the future, you will have the best decisions taken because of that. Okay. Now, moving on, we will next jump into the visuals where Gibran Raka Buming Raka will cast his vote. But before that, also one of the controversies just now we already mentioned was when the Constitutional Court allowed him to run for the vice presidential candidate. And another quote-unquote controversy coming from the people that the people also mind is actually his age being very, very young. In your opinion, Mas Radit, does age really matter? And do you think he is ready to become the Vice President of Indonesia?
Okay. Me personally have no problems, yeah, in seeing the young people, yeah, to be able to be a leader, yeah. And I encourage, especially, yeah, for me as a lecturers, yeah, I encourage my students to be a leader in the future. Okay.
Yes.
However, I also teach them to do the right process. It's the most important, yeah. Because the process is important. There is no instant leader, yeah. The one who lead us, I have confidence if someone already have a lot of experience, yeah, during the crisis, yeah, during the difficult situations, because the leader is tested during the bad situations.
During the bad situations, yes.
Yeah, not the good situations. And I believe the leader must have a lot of characteristic, yeah. And this characteristic is not instant, only 1 day or 2 days, yeah. So I am more to lean to the process, how the people becoming the leader, yeah. And I have no problem with ages, yeah. We have a lot of successful startup in the world that is started, or the founder is, young people, yeah.
With new mindsets,
with new mindsets,
ideas.
yeah. But they are the student who really follow the class, yeah. Even though they are not mine with the certificates, yeah. But all this knowledge, skill, they absorb it and they execute it, and it's not easy, yeah. If we learn from the founder of the startup in the world, yeah, they have, creating a lot of products, a lot of rejections, yeah, and it builds their characters, yeah, with a lot of difficulties, rejections, and so on and so forth. And some people and then believe in them, finance their business, and then they become, today Facebook, Google, and you name it, yeah. But the process of going to difficulties, rejections, it is important. It is important, yeah, to become the leaders. So I always say to my students, don't be afraid to fail, because you have, dare to fail. Yeah? You have to have characteristic, dare to fail. You have to try. If the biggest failure is not you fail, but you never try. That's the biggest failure.
Biggest failure is actually not trying at all.
Not trying at all. So, yeah, you try. You fail, that's okay, because it will build your characters, yeah. So again, I am more to the process instead of, the result, yeah.
So the question right here is, has our vice presidential candidate Gibran Rakabuming Raka, has he gone through enough process to get him on this stage as vice president of Indonesia? And I mean, it's like, as you said just now, young people, we make mistakes. That's what young people do. And of course we learn, but it is a long process.
Yes.
Is he ready, really?
I don't know. Yeah. But he has a good mentor. First, his father. Second is the the Prabowo himself. Yeah. If they won, if they win, sorry. A good leader usually has a good mentor. Okay, they go to the process of difficulties, yeah, and make decisions in those difficulties. And Gibran has a good mentor.
A good mentor, yeah.
Yeah.
By mentor, are you saying this is Prabowo Subianto or his dad?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly today is his father.
Yeah.
But later on, yeah, we hope that Prabowo can mentor him.
Yes.
Yeah. And during that mentorship process, we hope that he is able to, pass the baton. Yeah, because we need to have confidence, as a nation to face a lot of, global leaders. Okay, so we need to prepare, the young people to be able to, receive the batons from the previous leader. That's my opinion.
I mean, we do need a regeneration.
Regeneration
at some point.
At some points.
Yes.
But the process is important.
Now, speaking of global leaders, do you have any examples of any leaders, global leaders out there who are young and doing a good job leading the country?
We need to define what is young.
Okay.
What is not.
Okay.
So Canadian Prime Minister, Trudeau, in my opinion, he is young.
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah,
yes.
Justin Trudeau, for examples. I don't know. I love a lot of, read the history, American presidents. Obama and Clinton, maybe if we, from perspective of age, they are not young. But the behavior, sometimes if we see when they are relaxed, they are pretty young. So I have no problems with
The
ages, old and young, as long as you have the trust from the people, from the process that is transparent, and a lot of people's entrusted you with the big power,
Power, yes.
and becoming a president or vice president. So I have no problems with ages.
Okay, that is a good point right there, that it's also important to have good mentors around you.
Yes.
So, yeah, okay.
And it's hard to define age because action. Also, we got a young minds.
Yes.
Within the old generation. Yes. Okay. Here in the Election Day special in TVR World, we are still with you. It's I think it's 9:21 at the moment, and we will take you on the further discussion to Makassar, Sulawesi. We still will be taking you to Aceh and of course Yogyakarta, and we will still be waiting for our one of our guests, Mbak Dina Prapto Raharja, as she will be coming after she will cast her vote, as she is the political scientist specializing in diplomacy. And we are still here talking with Mas Radit about the election day today.
Now, Mas Radit, you also mentioned that here in Indonesia, especially the media is very important. It has an important role of maintaining the check and balances. But apart from the media, we also have a number of groups of civil society organizations that they have established an independent election monitoring system. How effective do you think these organizations will be?
I think it's very effective, because against check and balance mechanism. I think this independent watchdog needs to be drawn, to safeguard, our democracy, and they need to be asked, for collaborations with the General Elections Commissions, and why? Because it is important to warn the government if the process is not transparent, if the process is not good, if there is an intimidations, we need to warn the government. It is dangerous, because the new government needs to have legitimations, from the people. By having this trust from the people, then the new government will execute easily, all the public policy. So I think it's very, very important. I think lately we have some movies called Dirty Votes. I don't know whether you guys already watched that one. So that one is the in my opinion, is a good reminder, for all of us that we need to stop all the actions, all the violations, all the infringement, yeah, because it can endanger the democracy, and that is not good for our country. Yeah. So I think there is a lot of reminder, yeah, from a lot of political savvy or the statesmen. Yeah, we have Ibu Megawati, Pak Surya Paloh, Pak JK, yeah, Pak Jokowi himself, and then Pak Prabowo and so on. When these people, yeah, the leader of the party, discuss, yeah, the problem of the nations, I think we can have a better solutions for Indonesia. Yeah, we have to listen from these people, yeah, because whatever the critics, yeah, it can give us the insight, and we can improve ourselves. We can improve our democracy. Go back to the watchdog. I think we need to enable them, yeah, to become the safeguard of our democracy. Yeah. And I think KPU already make some collaborations with this watchdog, yeah, in order to safeguard our democratic process. From the data, if I'm not mistaken, there are 332,000, yeah, TPS, if I'm not mistaken, or the ballot post. So it's not easy for General Elections Commission itself. Yeah.
Yes.
It needs help, and we as a citizens, regardless whoever we choose, yeah, we have to help this democratic process. Yeah, to watch and safeguard these elections. Yeah, this is our responsibility. Yeah, as a citizen, as a nation, as a whole.
And I think you said it right there. I mean, that's the whole meaning of democracy. I mean, it's just not listening to what the government says, but we have everyone else out there, the media, the people being the watchdog of the government, and currently what's going on being the watchdog of the election. And if there's any infringement, impartiality, and of course, any violations going on with the procedure of the election.
Yes, Luisa and Mas Randi, thank you so much for the insight. Now, as we will take you to the polling station in President Jokowi's polling station, we have Siska Becker to report us these days. Siska Becker, can you hear us? Can you share a thing or two?
Yes, and we also have our reporter Bramuda Biru. Hello Siska and hello Bramuda. Thank you for joining us here on our special report this morning. And Siska, you have given your first report today, and we will want to know what is the latest update you have for us. Go ahead, Siska.
Okay, so Luisa and Indra, as you know, I am still at TPS 10 at Gambir, Central Jakarta. We've been here since 7 a.m. and the operation of this station has begun since 7:30 this morning, where the registered voters, around 120 people listed in the DPT for this particular station. Now, first off, I can tell you that to our happiness, the rain has stopped. It is now no longer drizzling, but it is still quite cloudy, so we would recommend for voters to bring an umbrella or at least a raincoat to their voting stations just in case. Now, Luisa and Narendra, I can tell you that since early this morning, the vibe, the environment so far has been quite cordial, quite jovial, and at moments quite celebratory. We've seen groups of people, groups of family, groups of colleagues coming in to vote together as a group, and then they will take selfies, they will take pictures together to celebrate and commemorate this very happy occasion, a 5-yearly party for the democratic process in Indonesia. Now, Luisa and Narendra, of course, the excitement was dialed up, understandably, around 8:40 a.m. Jakarta time, when the President and the First Lady, who are registered voters here at TPS 10, arrived to practice their rights to cast their votes as citizens of this democratic nation. Now, they just finished their voting process. We got to see them arriving, taking their queue, taking their time to wait until their names were called by the officials from this station. We saw them casting their votes inside the voting booths. It was all done in secrecy, of course. And he didn't spend too much time inside the voting booths, that much I can tell you. But they were all looking very optimistic. The First Lady was all smiles throughout. And of course, as you can imagine, all of us were very much excited. There were not a lot of voters when the president was here, but there were a lot of media present. So everybody was visibly very exhilarated to welcome the president. Now, as you can imagine, of course, there's a lot of interest from the media here to get a comment or a statement from the president in regard to his vote, or at least his take on this election. But he did not say anything to reveal nor confirm what he voted for or who he voted for. But he did make a short statement about his wish to have a fair election in Indonesia. He hopes that the general public can enjoy themselves in this 5-yearly party of democracy. And he also said that above all, he hopes that everything is done in the best interest of the country. Again, he did not spend that much time. In total, it's about 20 minutes before he head out. Now, just before he left, he was asked where he is going after this. And he said, maybe to Istana Merdeka, maybe to Istana Bogor. So, true to his character, always aloof, always keep us guessing. Now, Narendra and Luisa, speaking of media presence, I can also tell you that there are not only national media here in attendance, but a lot of international news outlets are here as well, which shows there's a lot of interest from the international community for Indonesia's general election in 2024. And of course, that is not surprising, considering that this is seen as one of the biggest days in global democracy. This is the world's biggest one-day democratic election ever, with more than 200 million registered voters, and also around the biggest archipelago in the world, more than 7 million volunteers in the third biggest democracy to assist voters in more than 800,000 voting stations to give a chance to all the people to elect their future leaders of the country. So as you can imagine, this is an enormous undertaking, and the eyes of the world is on Indonesia right now. Now, Luisa and Narendra, if I can add a little bit, although the race for the top executive job in the country has been dominating the national headlines, at least in the past few months, the race for seats in the parliament is also very colorful indeed. There are 18 parties and around 20,000 seats for grabs between the House of Representatives and Regional Representative Council. So the voters in the booth so far, beside President Joko Widodo, that is, they all took a little bit of time in choosing between the myriad of names and candidates that they have in their ballots. Before then, they can do the coblos or poke the ballots with a nail that is provided, and before they can do the Indonesian election tradition to dip their finger into the ink as a sign that they have voted, and also as a mean to suppress voter fraud. So again, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. So voters, you still have a couple of hours before polling stations are closed, especially here in Jakarta. We encourage everyone to vote, of course. Do your parts as responsible citizens in Indonesia. Just make sure you don't arrive too late, because the polls will be closed at 1 p.m. We were repeatedly told by the officials in this particular TPS. So after that, Luisa Narendra will probably have the unofficial numbers in a matter of hours, maybe this evening, the latest in TVRI World. But the official number from the KPU will not be released until 20th of March. And then we will see whether we'll have another round of election, and then we'll have the swearing in of the new elected officials happening in October. So, Luisa Narendra, today is not the finish line of this long marathon of an election. Actually, we still quite a long way to go, but this is exactly the most exciting part of it. So that's all I can report for now. We'll keep a lookout for any exciting news and updates, of course, for our viewers. Again, we encourage you to please come down to the polling stations, cast your votes, and be a part of the 2024 general election. I'm Siska Becker, together with camera person Arya Tanu. We wish you a happy election day. Have fun in this Democratic Party, and we'll see you on TVRI World. Back to you to the studio, Narendra and Luisa.
Thank you so much, Siska Becker, for reporting from the President Jokowi's polling station. And we got the next update from the latest election day updates from Bramuda in Bogor. Bramuda, will you give us a report, please?
Good morning, Narendra and Luisa. So it is still, same with Siska, it is still drizzling in here, and it's been going on for hours in here, and yet it doesn't stop people to going to the polling station to cast their vote. Now, I'm today here in Sentul, Bogor, Regency, West Java, in the polling station, or TPS number 33, nearby the TPS number 35. Here, the place for Prabowo Subianto to cast his vote. Now, Prabowo has casted his vote. He also talked to several journalists, let the journalists took some pictures. And this is just a massive crowd when he just arrived. That it was just vacant here before his arrival, but then it gets really crowded when he just arrived here. Now, for the election here, as Sisa has already mentioned, that there are 5 booths that will be the polling for the people here in the polling station. And also here, after from the information I've gathered, that Prabowo Subianto, the presidential candidate number 2, will then go to Kertanegara near his national team for watching the exit count from the area, and then will later go to Gelora Bung Karno Sports Complex to watch together with his team for the counting, unofficial counting, of course, for this election. Now, there is a funny story right here, because I arrived a bit early here, and I was a bit starving, and I go to my nearest kebab vendor, and there was no people who are in the vendor, who was watching the vendor, because the man who was the vendor himself was just casting his vote. So it shows how enthusiastic people are coming to the nearest polling station to cast their votes. It is really a face of democracy. It is one of the biggest election ever exists in the world, since 204 million people will cast their vote for their choice of presidential candidate and also several legislative candidates. So I'm hoping that I would never be bored to remind all the people to come to the nearest polling station, to the registered polling station, to cast your vote for the future of Indonesia and the future of democracy in Indonesia. Happy Valentine's Day, happy election day. Don't forget to only love your loved ones, your wife, your girlfriend, but also show some love to the motherland. Bramuda and Arianto reporting for TVRI World. Back to the studio, Narendra and Luisa.
Thank you, Bramuda Biru, for your report, and of course for your reminder that today is not just the love for our country, but also showing and sharing our love to our loved ones, to our closest people around us. Now, a little reminder that for those of you who haven't voted, please do vote, because you still have time. It's currently now 9:30, but the voting stations are still open until 1 o'clock later on. And just a number of reminders for you who are not yet voting but about to vote, that you need to, number 1, bring your information letter that has been sent to your address, and of course your electronic identity card. Bring that. That's the basic tool for you to vote. Number 2, you need to register to the staff at the TPS or the voting station. That is already stated right there on the piece of paper. You need to wait to be called, and don't forget to unfold and check your ballot paper before entering the voting booth. You need to make sure that the ballot paper right there is perfect, that there's no other hole or any scribbles on the paper, to make sure that is in perfect condition. And after that, after doing your voting, you can then dip your pinky to the ink prepared as a sign that you have exercised your right to vote. And of course, just an additional information on the site that in the malls and the cafes today that there are a lot of promotion out there just to encourage everyone of all Indonesians out there to vote today. So
Yes.
there's still time. Vote if you haven't.
Vote now. And of course, we will be back with more Election Day specials right here on TVRI World. So stay tuned right here with us. So we're back right here on TVRI World Election Day special. And as we go along here, we will take you to Shafira Junior up next. They will take us to Lebak Bulus in Jakarta Selatan. But in the meantime, our guest, another guest is here, and that is Mbak Dina.
Mbak Dina Prapto Raharja is a political scientist specializing in diplomacy, political economy. Welcome, Mbak Dina, to our very special report. It's a very exciting day. It's election day, and Mbak Dina is here finally after casting her vote. Yes. You can show your pinky. Where did you vote, Mbak Dina?
Tanjung Barat.
Tanjung Barat.
South Jakarta, yeah, so near Jagakarsa area.
Tell us your experience. How was the voting day for you today so far?
So it was raining. So we started up late in my polling station. So 7:15, they just sing the Indonesia Raya and then all the pledges and everything, and then counting all the ballots.
Okay.
So it took about 1 hour for us to wait before we can actually cast.
Oh, wow.
1 hour.
So
lucky you still made it here.
made it here. So I think, yeah, practically some areas do have issues because of the rain. Yeah.
And of course, traffic jam, but of course, luckily...
There's no traffic jam.
There's no traffic jam.
Nothing.
Okay, because some areas in Jakarta apparently are flooding a bit, but in general, it's still okay in the main areas. But how was the experience opening up all the ballot papers?
That's a very good question. It's so big.
It's so big.
I'm telling you, the ballot is so big. If you literally open it like this, open wide, it's much bigger than the space they give for the box.
Okay.
So in my place, the ballot, the polling ballots, there are 4. Like, there's no space between us. So if we like open like this and then.
Oh, really?
Oh, you can see to the
Maybe
right.
because of the rain also, so they want to make sure that
don't have enough space, yeah, and it's
enough
covered,
space,
yeah.
so it's covered. So technically, it's not very easy. The paper is very thin, so you have to be really careful not to punch it before you want to punch it, because the space is really small, right? And the nail is over there, and if you try to open it on the table, it doesn't fit. So it's really big.
It's really big. Oh God.
I can imagine like trying to browse, like, you know, the people that you are going to.
It took me a while because you know, you go past the streets of you know, commuting to work, and you think those are the people who are going to be in your area, and then you look at the ballot. Not this one.
Not this one.
So apparently, not everybody put their faces on the street.
Exactly.
Yeah, not everybody. So the one on my ballot, I was saying, I never see these faces before.
It's a new one.
So there are new ones.
Okay.
So I think for myself, which I think I'm quite an educated person who follow news and everything.
Of course.
It took me about 5 minutes more to just keep looking and, you know. But I decided to take this strategy. If some of you, you know, think what's the best, don't get confused, yeah? Just take one thing at a time. Open one.
Take your time.
Take your time. One, open, and then think. The DPR one, so that's for the National Legislature. Vote that one, and then fold, and then the next one. So do not open everything, because it's going to be so confusing.
One by one.
It's a good tip right there. Just do everything one by one. Do it slowly, and also of course, make sure that all the ballots are in perfect condition before you vote. Okay, right now we are seeing on the screen right there, our Vice President Ma'ruf Amin is currently casting his vote. There you go.
Yes.
It does take a long process, yeah?
It is. Lots of boxes, lots of papers, and thin papers also, as we mentioned from Mbak Dina.
in Jakarta, we only cast 4 ballots, but in more rural areas, they have 5. So it takes them longer, I guess.
Okay.
To cast votes.
And I mean, I can imagine, like, have you done your homework? I assume you have, like, learning all the legislative candidates.
I did.
Right? I mean, this is
unusual.
Exactly. It takes such an effort, you know, as normal citizens to really be proactive in this case.
You know what's interesting? Another observation that that I think, you know, because at the end of the day, during the voting day, you are somehow feel pushed that you have to finish it fast, right?
Okay.
Because there's big lines waiting for you. And then one of the things you look at the ballot is not the name. The first thing you see is the face. And then the color.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's for the legislature and all the candidates to think about. How you appear on the ballot is really important.
Oh, wow.
That's why.
The first thing you see is that.
The color and the face.
The color and the face, not necessarily the names.
Oh.
I get confused with all the names because it's big photo and then small names.
And can you imagine for those first-time voters out there? I mean, how overwhelming this experience is going to be for them.
Yes.
Just, you know, like opening all these bells and all these random names. I mean, if you are not proactive through this election process, you just don't know who to vote.
Educating yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
I remember my first time voting for the democratic election was 1999, right?
1999.
Remember that was the time when there was multi-party election. The first time we have 48 political parties on the ballot. So colorful. I remember because at that time I took care of the first international election observation mission coming to Indonesia, where 100 election observers came to Indonesia. And we have to be neutral, just like you, right? Try not to take any
just black and white
colors.
today.
Yeah. So we ended up with gray because all the colors are on the ballot. So many political parties at the same time, so many colors. So that's the importance of colors. And I'm being neutral because it's Valentine's Day. I wear pink.
It's not red. It's pink. It's fuchsia.
So,
but do you have any tips though for those first-time voters? I mean, apart from like opening the ballot and like for them who gets really overwhelmed at this first-time voting, what will be your tips for them, especially if they haven't done educating themselves, their homework?
Homework.
Okay. Number one, our system is proportional representation, which means that all your votes matter because it's proportionally accounted for every area. So no votes will be wasted. That's the best of our system, which means political party is the important one who will going to decide how to proportion your votes.
Okay.
So the basis of the voting is the political party. So if somehow you haven't done the work of checking all the names, think about just the political party you are more interested to, or you trust, or you think will be the best leader in the next 5 years. That's number one tip. Number two, our system is proportional, open proportional system.
Okay.
That's why you see so many names. And in the open proportional system, basically, whoever gets most votes, they don't need to be number one on the list. They can be the winner from that area. But cases have been, it's never just one person getting the most votes. After all, they need to gather all the votes from different parts of the district. So the political party is the one who is going to allocate at the very end. If you are not on the top of the list, but then somehow you gather enough votes as candidates, legislative candidates, and then on the very top list there are people with more votes, then there will be somehow discussion within the political party anyways to think about who will get the most votes from that area. So at the end of the day, back again to the political party. So learn more about the political party. Think before you vote which political party you think. That's why I say color. Color matters. And what's interesting also, the ballot for the presidential candidates, vice presidential candidates, it's the smallest of all.
Oh, interesting.
Very small. Compared to the, as I said, if you open it like this, it's
Yes.
literally like this
Because
big.
there is only 3 presidential
Only
and
3.
vice
So
presidential
it's like small, like this size, and it's colored gray.
Okay.
Oh.
So the ballot, the ballot is colored. If I'm not mistaken, if I recall correctly, blue, yellow, and green. Yeah,
Green.
Blue, yellow, and green. Yep.
I think. And then the other one is gray.
Yes.
Great,
The
okay.
gray one is for the presidential candidates. So make sure you only punch once, yeah, either on the face of the president or vice president that you vote, but only one. Just to make sure.
It doesn't matter where you punch it as long as
Within
it's
the box.
within the box.
Yeah,
That's a
within
good
the
tip
box.
right there, especially for those first-time voting. I cannot imagine like how it's like opening so many papers. And just now we already hear some tip that instead of opening all the papers all at once,
At the same time, yeah.
do it
One
one
by
by
one.
one.
By one.
I started with the
Take your
bigger one.
time.
Maybe you choose the small one first and then go bigger. Up to you.
And I mean, it's just pretty much the basic. If like you need to learn and you need to know which party that you would support. I mean, that's just the basic, right? If you don't know who are the legislative candidates, I mean, it is quite an overwhelming information for all of us. But yeah, at least know which party you are voting for.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So Badina have shared with us her first election story. Next, we will ask Mas Radit about his first election story. But let's join up with Shafira Junior, our reporter, our TVRI World reporter. Shafira Junior is at Lebak Bulus, Jaksel, if we're not mistaken. So Shafira Junior, it's all yours. Please report to us.
Hello, Shafira.
Hello there, reporting live from the polling station number 60 at Jalan Lebak Bulus 2 Dalam, where this polling station is the polling station of the presidential candidate number 1, Anies Baswedan, with his family. This polling station is actually located behind Anies Baswedan's house, so it's quite near from his house, and the space is large. It is built to anticipate the crowd, especially the supporters of the candidate pair number 1, Anies Baswedan and Muhaimin Iskandar. The presidential candidate number 1, Anies Baswedan, arrived here at the polling station number 60 at around 8:20 a.m. Jakarta time. And also, it was crowded, and before, about the election, before the candidate pair number 1, Anies Baswedan and Muhaimin Iskandar, held their last campaign on a Saturday at the Jakarta International Stadium. And we have also witnessed the press conference of the presidential candidate number 1, Anies Baswedan, where he expressed his gratitude to all the parties who have been preparing for this election day 2024. And after this, presidential candidate number 1, Anies Baswedan, will go to the Amin National Team Winning Headquarters, or Markas Kemenangan Amin, the candidate pair number 1, at 11 a.m. Jakarta time. And that's what we have for now. Back to the studio.
Thank you so much for reporting to us, Shafira, from Lebak Bulus, Jakarta Selatan. And that is the latest election day update from the polling station of Anies Baswedan.
Now we come back to the studio. We already asked just now Badina about her experience voting this morning, but let's go to Mas Radit and ask him, you've experienced all the voting so many times, but can you please share with us, how was your first time voting?
Yeah, my first time voting when I was, in university, yeah.
Yes.
So I go with the hypes of all my friends, yeah. So at that time, I'm uneducated people.
But you're in university.
Yeah. So we go with the friends, yeah. But it's different conditions, yeah. When I was voting, there's only, if I'm not mistaken, few parties. We have Golkar, the winners, and then PDIP,
Three parties.
Yeah, and then P3 ya, PPP. Yeah. That's and my dad's because he is a soldier. He instruct me to do it. Choose this.
Oh, he instructed you to.
Yeah. So yeah, I listen to my dad and all my friends, and then go alone. But the different conditions, different situations with today. Today we have more choices. Yeah. It's like going to the supermarket, right?
Yeah. We have more diverse information
diverse
now, thanks to the social media.
Yes. So it's different conditions. Maybe today's young generation is more fortunate, to choose with more peoples, more parties, and different choices with, back then. Yeah.
Exactly, and we have more than 50% young voters for this election, so they really hold a big power. All the millennials, all the Gen Z, and just listening to your story just now, I remember my first time voting. My dad did the same.
Did the same thing.
He was giving me, all the ballot papers, like, remember to choose this number, okay? Don't choose other number. I was just clueless, But youngsters today, they have access to more information.
Sure.
And of course, some of the campaigns, the political campaigns these days are more strategic, and they're really targeting on the young voters.
Yes. And just before we asked to Mas Radit about the predictions about this election day this morning, what would it be like? Now we want to ask Mbak Dina, after the election day today, what are your predictions of what's coming next until 20th of March? What kind of situation will Indonesia face?
How is the temperature gonna be?
Yes.
The political heat, or do you think it's gonna be pretty cool this time around?
So for those of us who have experienced reform since 1998, this is a very important election. So a lot of us get very emotional, so anxious to some degree in waiting for who will be winning. So the best thing about democracy is you shouldn't know who wins. If you know from today who's going to win, then that's a problem. It's not a democracy. But so long as it's still uncertain, I think there's still hope that the election process may go smoothly. But to be honest, everybody's really waiting, counting mostly on which political party is going to win the most and which presidential candidate is going to win. So, all TV stations put along the quick count, right?
Quick counts, yes.
So people are going to watch for that in the next 1 day or two to make sure that everybody is now already spread the witness are alert on every polling stations, and just this morning the candidates are already instructing their party cadres to make sure that they don't leave the polling stations, to keep watch of the polling stations. And it is indeed important. It's not the counting itself that matters, but it's the recap of the counting that people has been most anxious about. Indonesia is very big. It's a very simultaneous process. Everybody is doing it at literally the same time, but different parts of Indonesia is already almost done with their voting counts, and which means that they're probably going to start entering the number of who is the winning party. But it's not going to be considered fixed number of result until everything is put back to the center, and then the KPU, the Election Commission, is going to declare. So between those time period, which you say until the 20th of March or so, is a very critical time. And there have been suspicions that the calculation process is going to be instructed from above. So the local people may be, maybe fair and maybe honest. But once the numbers are already counted, there may be something dark over there. And given the distance of Indonesia, given the the fact that, there has been some information of misinformations in some parts of Indonesia as well, right?
Yes.
And I think it's the complexity of, the number of ballots and what to do next. It's not very easy. So I really hope that at least it's going to be peaceful.
Peaceful.
That's what I hope most, regardless of who will win and all. Yeah. Who will win? I think everybody just watch. I trust in the NGOs who are out there and also trying to keep watch and be, be an extra eye to the political party witnesses. They are independent, and I think they also have their own tools to make sure that, the votes from every polling stations will be accurately counted up to the national level.
Yes, well, that is what Mas Radit has mentioned that just now, that it is so important to keep the check and balances throughout this election until the result have been publicized later on. And I'm just wondering, apart from the independent organization that you mentioned just now, how effective is the election supervisory agency and Panwaslu for this election?
Well, that's the issue. Everybody has been talking in the past few days before the election. It becomes very certain that there is some kind of orchestration going on. We don't know as an individual, as a citizen. There are mechanisms, of course, to check that. But the big question here is if the one in charge is already having dirty hands, who is going to say that which one is right, which one is wrong then?
Yeah.
So that's the issue. So I think I understand the fight of independent people who are very much not looking for money, not looking for positions, but they are very certain that democracy is our identity and we have to, as a nation, guard that. So I look up to our friends who are independent out there.
Okay.
And I truly hope that my fellow citizens out there also remain trustful to these independent groups with track records, and don't accuse them of being, bought and, being partisan, because there are some groups that are partisan, but they are those who truly have been working from the heart, and they have been their track record can be seen,
can be trusted. Yeah,
can be trusted. So we need to trust somebody in this very complex process.
We need.
It is indeed a very complex process,
Yes.
right here, and we're at the moment connected to a number of TVRI World reporters across Indonesia, safeguarding, really, being the watchdog for Indonesia to see this election process going on. And right now, let's check out another live report.
Yes, we will take you to Makassar. I think we got Ashril. Ashril, can you give us a report from Makassar? Go ahead, Ashril.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Narendra and Luisa. Today marked the day that we all have been waiting for. It is the pinnacle of Indonesia Fest of Democracy, the General Election Day. Today, as well, the registered people above 17 years of age are eligible to give their vote to determine the fate of Indonesia in the next 5 years. With high enthusiasm as well, various group of people have been coming to this polling station since early this morning, despite the unstable weather condition here in Makassar. As you can see right behind me as well, many voters who have been registered in the final voters list are standing in line to cast their vote in choosing the chosen a candidate of presidency and vice presidents, but as well to choose the legislative candidate of Republic Indonesia. And may I add something as well, Narendra and Luisa, that each of the candidates are given a distinct color mark to differentiate in the polling booth paper, to make it easy as well to recognize for the voters to choose from. That's also available right over here if they are ready to choose their candidate on their polling booth. From the information that we have gathered so far as well, the overall final voters list who have been given their vote are numbered around 80 voters. Meanwhile, the election committee as well as the witnesses from the various candidate party are also closely monitoring every process of the general election. And here, transparency is guaranteed to prevent any fraud from happening. And to help with that situation, most of the voters even chose to stay to oversee the process of the general election, as stated by the General Election Commission, that all voters have the right to oversee and prevent any violation of the rules, any fraud from happening. And if they found any, they can report directly to the election supervisory agency. Meanwhile, to maintain the conduciveness in today's general election, all elements of the National Police Force are also involved in securing the area of the venues, and active participation by the people also help in boosting the transparency and the fairness of the Party of Democracy. That is all the information that I can give. I'm Arshil Asmar, camera person Sutandi, reporting live from Makassar, Sulawesi for TVRI World. Now we go back to the studio in Jakarta.
Thank you, Arshil Asmar, for your report right there from Makassar. It seems like everything is going conducive right there. Yes. And we will now check out to Aryo Bagus from Yogyakarta to see the election process happening there. Hello, Aryo.
Hello, Luisa and Narendra. Good morning from Yogyakarta.
Go ahead, Aryo.
All right, so based on the data of permanent voters list released by the General Election Commission or KPU of Yogyakarta Special Region, there will be more than 2.8 million of voters registered and almost 12,000 of polling station or ballot station or TPS for short. They are ready to participate on today's election process, and including former Vice President and President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono's era, Budiono, as well as the vice presidential candidate, Mahfud MD, who just casted his vote about 2 hours ago, along with his wife, Zaizatuni Hayati, as well as his youngest son, Royhan Akbar, at this TPS where I'm standing and reporting now. And if you can see behind me, the election process is still ongoing now, and some of the voters registered at this ballot station waiting for their turn to cast their votes. You can see also the excitement of the residents around the TPS or the ballot station who are currently waiting for their turn to cast their votes. And based on our monitoring, Luisa and Narendra, the TPS or the ballot station started welcoming the voters or the residents around the ballot station at about 7:30 a.m. earlier in the morning, and will be finished at 1 p.m. to then proceed to the vote counting process at this ballot station. Narendra, Luisa.
Yes, Aryo. Now, here's a follow-up question to you in Yogyakarta, Aryo Bagus. Could you please elaborate more on the election day process there in Yogyakarta?
From the permanent voters list registered on KPU Yogyakarta's data, there are also additional voters list for those who are not residents of Yogyakarta but have registered and wanted to give or cast their vote in Yogyakarta, as they are not able to go back to their hometown where they are officially registered due to several reasons. Today, the additional voters list will be given the opportunity to cast their vote from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And speaking about the additional voters list in Yogyakarta, reflecting on the previous election where there are a lot of out-of-town students who wish to vote in Yogyakarta yet are not able to vote in 2019 election. The General Election Commission of Yogyakarta on this election day provides particular polling station or a particular TPS for them located in various universities in Yogyakarta. This effort is performed as an anticipation to reduce abstain in 2024 election in Yogyakarta. Lastly, in the terms of the participation of or voters' participation level, General Election Commission of Yogyakarta is optimistic the level will increase in this year's election, which set to reach about 85% of the total of permanent voters list in Yogyakarta. From Yogyakarta, Aryo Bagus and camera person Tri Hartanto reporting live for TV or iWorld. Back to you, Narendra, Luisa.
Well, Aryo Bagus, thank you so much for your report right there from Yogyakarta, and we wish you all the best for your next reports. We'll check on you again later on throughout the day. Thank you, Aryo. Okay, let's get back to the studio here. We're still with Mbak Dina Prapto Raharja, the political scientist specializing in diplomacy, political economy, as well as Dr. Radityo F. Arianto, a lecturer from University of Pelita Harapan. And we've talked about predictions just now. I'm just curious here. I've asked Mas Radit just now about his predictions. I want to ask you now, Mbak Dina. What is your prediction for the result? Do you think it's going to be a one round or do you think it's going to be a two-round election?
Mathematically speaking, it will be 2 rounds.
Okay.
If it is only 1 round, there's something is really suspicious.
Oh, elaborate more on that, please. Because we know that the presidential candidate number 2 has been mentioning on the media that he is expecting to win this in 1 round.
1 round.
Yeah.
And you're saying this is mathematically suspicious. Why is that?
Yeah, because to win the election, you need 50% plus 1. And you have to win in at least, let me double check to make sure, 20%, half of the provinces across Indonesia needs to be under you. And at least in every province, you get over 20% of the provinces will be with you. Yeah. So the challenge there is not just the number of account in accumulation, but the spread throughout Indonesia, which means that if you don't get the proportion correct across West Indonesia, Central Indonesia, and East Indonesia, which we know have different kind of geographic characteristics, it's not gonna be what do you call, like eloquent.
Eloquent. Yeah.
It's not gonna be eloquent. It's not gonna be correct. You know, just something is wrong there. And then number 2, if you look at the data during the campaign period, there are a number of polling stations keep saying that one candidate is very much beyond 50%. But methodologically, you can never actually know on the ground. People who usually get approached by polling centers are people who tend to be more urban. People who are in the rural areas and who actually have no access to social media, have no access to TV, is not yet quite portrayed here. So you cannot quite say that the polling station result will be equal to the polling result during the campaign. That's not equivalent. And many things have happened between the polling happening and the polling day today.
Yes.
And then number 3, if you think about the efforts of all candidates, the 3 candidates to canvass different parts of Indonesia and their technique to outreach to people, I don't think people will vote or decide until the very last minute. Mm-hmm. So, and looking also at the election in the past, if you have more than 2 candidates, you have 2 rounds. And that's one of the reasons why in the election law we have that possibility of having 2 rounds. Okay. We only have 1 round when we have 2 candidates, 2019 and then 2000 SBY, yeah, when SBY go for the 2nd round. But before, everything else was 2 rounds. So that's
your prediction. Now, if we can go to a further prediction now with Mas Radit, supposing, as what Mbak Dina said, is going to be 2 rounds, what kind of political maneuver are we seeing later on in the future? Who's going to get together with who, and what do you think is going to happen?
It's very difficult, to predict,
Yeah.
The inclinations of going with the big coalitions is very high. Okay, so if you go with someone who have a lot of voting, the probability to win will be higher. Okay, but it also depends on the theme of every party. Try to market with its constituents. Yeah. There is also risks of the decisions by the political leader, which one they want to choose, to the left or to the right. Yeah. Most likely, the number 2 will go to the second round if it's 2 rounds.
Okay.
But I'm not sure which one is going to be in the second round for number 1 or number 3. Hypothetically speaking, yeah, these 2 will communicate, number 1 and number 3, yeah, whether they want to make a coalitions, but that decisions also has risks of losing its constituents. Okay.
Of course.
So yeah, I don't have the answers, so I will wait.
Okay.
Yep.
But that is a bit of a prediction.
Very tense.
Yep.
It is. So let's get back to the other places. We have taken you to Makassar and Jogja, and right now we will take you to Sulawesi Utara, where I think our TVRI World reporter, there's Natalia, ready to report. Natalia, please report to us about the election day. Go ahead. Okay, Natalia, can you hear us from the Jakarta studio? It is your turn to report to us about the election day there in Sulawesi Utara. Go ahead, Natalia.
Okay, thank you, Narendra and Luisa. Today here in Manado, North Sulawesi, people with disabilities are also participating in the 2024 general election. And here in Manado City, there are quite a few of polling stations that's catering towards people with disabilities. And one of them is the place where I'm standing right now at number 9 here in Palempat sub-district. And as you can see right behind me, the voting has been already conducted since 7 a.m. in the morning, despite the heavy rainfall that has been occurring since 9 a.m. in the morning. But it doesn't subside the citizens of Manado City to cast their votes, especially people with impairments or disabilities. And the people with disabilities in Manado here, when they are going to vote and casting their vote inside of the booth, they will be accompanied by their own family members or by their special talented people, and also the staff will also help with them. And the flow, they look the same as the people with non-disabilities, because of here they already have the distinct place where they can come in and then they could stay their flow. And also, those who are requiring assistance has already been coming in ever since it is open at 7 a.m. And right now we are still waiting for the people that hasn't yet cast their vote, even if the people doesn't have any disabilities or still working normal. And also both parties are still blending in well with each other inside this polling station number 9 in Palempat district. And also, we need to especially take care of the people with disabilities, because even though they have disabilities, they are still part of our Indonesian citizens, especially here in Manado. The numbers of disabilities are increasing year by year, and that doesn't subside. Also, the people like them could also still vote. I'm Natalia, reporting from Manado, North Sulawesi. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Natalia, for your report on the election process right there from Manado. And next we will go to Gorontalo, where we have our TVRI World reporter, Eka Nur, reporting. Hello, Eka Nur.
Hi, Luisa and Narendra. That is true that here now in Gorontalo, the election process unfolded with a vibrancy as the citizens of Gorontalo is well engaged in the democratic process. And the streets of the capital city here in Gorontalo notably quiet, with the community channeling its energy towards the numerous polling stations scattered across the region. This collective effort aimed at electing leaders ranging from the president and vice president as well as the local representatives reflects the shared commitment to shaping the future for this nation, adding a unique touch, as it's seen behind me right now, to the electoral atmosphere. Some polling stations like this polling station, the TPS 005 in Mongolato village, chose to incorporate with Gorontalo clothing, traditional clothing, into the proceedings. Beyond cultural preservations, of course, this creative approach sought to draw more people to vote. And then the strategy yielded positively, of course, and then the result is amazing, as residents eagerly gathered at the voting stations, with some arriving as early as 6 a.m., a full hour before the official commencement of voting at 7 a.m., of course. Breaking down the numbers, Gorontalo boasts over 881,000 permanent voters spread across 6 regencies and cities. Among this demographic, a significant portion exceeding 102,000 individuals were casting their votes for the first time, injecting fresh perspective from into the democratic tapestry. The Election Commission meticulously established 3,539 polling stations strategically placed to minimize potential voters' congestion or voters jamming in each village or sub-district. The logistical groundwork was thorough, extending location even to hard-to-reach locations. So the objective remains clear: ensuring that the 2024 election unfolds seamlessly, characterized by high-quality democratic principles and a peaceful process, of course. This collective endeavors reflects the shared vision of forging a better Indonesia through the participatory and inclusive electoral system. From Gorontalo, Eka Kemalasari and the camera person Wahyudin Latif reporting live for TVRI World.
Thank you so much, Eka Nur, for reporting in Gorontalo, and of course, Natalia in Manado. And we're back here in Jakarta studio for the Election Day special in TVRI World. Now, we saw an interesting part where in Manado, Natalia has been giving us a visualizers and reports about the disabilities and how the people in polling stations have been supportive for the people with disabilities to cast their vote. Now, I would like to ask Mbak Dina, as Mbak Dina is already on the Tanjung Barat polling stations back then, how is it for the disability people, if you can share it with us, Mbak Dina?
So what's interesting about Indonesia, if I can give you a little perspective, a comparative perspective, because I've been watching election in several other countries as well. In more established democracies like the United States, for instance, it's only normal that they already have big facilities with ramps and with ballots accessible to the blind, for instance. Yes. That's only normal. But among the developing countries, it's very much progressive if you have one. And Indonesia is among the one that's very progressive in this.
Oh, so we're already in the
progressive section. So we have to be proud of it. In other parts of the region, election is a means actually to not only pull out people from where their residential areas is, but the best thing about making sure you're inclusive is at the end of the day you have more data.
More data.
More data from the disabled people, okay. And the policy that the disabled can bring help, can bring assisted someone from their family members to come and join them. It's very very nice.
Very helpful, huh? For
very
them,
helpful.
Yes.
And in my polling station this morning, I actually saw they show the ballot for the blind.
Oh.
So they have it, and
with
so
the
braille
letters, yes.
And they actually count it. So that means in my area there are people who need that assistance, right? So I would like to commend the work of my colleagues who have been very vocal in making sure that the disabled are getting more and more included in the election process. Good job. I think it's very nice. And in my place, the path that they choose. And it's also interesting in Indonesia. We don't do it in public places only, like schools, but also in houses and people's what do you call it? Folly volleyball court.
Volleyball court, yes.
At least it was
Volleyball
in a
court, yes.
volleyball court. So it's big. It's going into that area, even though it's behind the houses of people, but the street size it's suits for people in wheelchair as well. So it's very
Makes
good.
it easier for them instead of having to go to like a building with stairs. It's just
Building with
easier
stairs,
for them.
and they don't have to commute far because
Exactly.
it's usually in the neighborhood anyway. So in terms of accessibility, I think Indonesia is very progressive.
That's good. And I mean, like, it is really inspiring. I mean, for us, for me to just watch that, it's just, even people with disability, they do their due diligence. I mean, they make the effort to go to the polling station to cast their
contribute,
vote.
right?
Exactly. And meanwhile, I mean, we still have a big percentage of people who choose not to vote. And Mas Radit, what's your thought on this? Why do we still have a lot of people who just, just decides like, I don't know who to choose and I just don't bother to choose anymore?
Yeah. Maybe because of the experience, because they already goes to this general election several times, and their living conditions not change very much, to be better, and then it makes people, apathetic, about these general elections, But some of them because of lack of communications, lack of socializations, and there's too much about complexities and confusions what have been told by Mbak Dina previously. So I think so many reasons why people cannot vote and won't able to be won't able to vote. Okay.
Yes, and it is such a big percentage. We're talking about like 30%, if I'm not mistaken, of people who choose not to vote.
I don't have the numbers yet. Maybe Mbak Dina has some informations, maybe.
Of percentage of people who choose not to vote.
Not to vote.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm.
In the past election, I mean, it's been a big percentage of people who still choose not to vote. What advice do you have for people who are currently still staying at their houses now and still, like feeling, they're not motivated to go there and vote, and we still have a couple of hours. What advice do you have for them?
The importance of us casting vote is for the legitimacy of whoever being chosen. So if you don't take part, whoever is becoming the leader in our country and your representative in the legislature, which by the way is very important, even if we think they don't do enough for us, still they produce legislative and rules and regulations that would balance the work of the executive, which is the president. If you don't cast vote, that means the amount of people who are eligible to vote is much less than who the leader can actually get. And that affects the legitimacy of whoever becomes the leader. I'll give you the example of the United States. The United States voters are still big in numbers, actually large. But the number of people who are apathy about the election process in the US continues to rise. And what happened is not improving the system whatsoever. Instead, whoever becomes the president, the last example was Donald Trump, for instance, people are keeping distance, and this person Donald Trump think that he gets all the support from the people, win the majority, while in reality, only 40% of US voters vote.
Wow.
Of the eligible voters. So that's a small number of people who can actually cast votes.
Okay.
Think about the legitimacy. So whoever win in Indonesia may say very proudly, I win the election in 270 million population, but in reality, a lot of people don't vote for them. So it's a problem of legitimacy. So please don't vote and give too much confidence to whoever being elected, because your vote matters.
Yeah,
vote matters.
Each vote matters.
Each vote.
Even though sometimes we think, it's just me, I'm just one person, it doesn't matter. But
without one, there's no million.
Without one, there's no million.
That is true. That is true. Now, Mas Radit, just now in the beginning of our show, you have already shared with us the strengths and weaknesses of the presidential and vice presidential candidate number 2.
Yep.
Now, can I please ask your opinion again, Mas Radit? Briefly, what do you think is the strengths and weaknesses of the other presidential candidate? Let's go with number 1 first.
Okay. Number 1 is Pak Anies Baswedan. Yeah.
Yes.
So Pak Anies Baswedan, in my opinion, has successfully becoming the governor of Indonesia. We know several, infrastructure he built, such as Jakarta International Stadium,
Yes.
and then Jakarta Library in Taman Ismail Marzuki, and the Jaklingko integrated transportations. So I believe he has the capability, to become the next leader of Indonesia. So these 3 candidates, Pak Anies, Pak Prabowo, and also Pak Ganjar, again is the best choices Indonesia has today. And go back to Pak Anies, one of the strength of he is a good orator, and also he opened the communications with the young peoples, goes to campuses with his program Desak Anies. So invite communications, invite a lot of insights. And this is good for discussions how to solve the problems of Indonesia. So we can hear even from the oppositions of him. So I think that one is his strength.
Do you see any weaknesses coming from the first presidential candidate?
The weakness, I think a lot of people relate him to 2019 governor elections when he facing Mr. Ahok. But people forget that Anies is supported by Prabowo at that time. And if we talking about political identity, sin, I believe it's not just Pak Anies. I think Pak Anies is the candidates who ran against Pak Ahok at that time. So he is the opponent, but he is not the enemy of Pak Ahok. So, but maybe a lot of people call it weaknesses on the 2019 governor elections. Maybe that one is the weakness of Pak Anies.
Okay, we move on to Madinah right here. What's your opinion on the presidential and vice presidential candidates?
Okay, so because I'm a political scientist and I look at the system instead of personality, and the importance of democracy is the question whether somebody can shape a system. So the system in Indonesia is something that has been transferred from the past authoritarian regime under the New Order period. So it's a very strong legacy, not just the fact that the institutions that used to be in the New Order was still here, but also the practices of how people communicate to each other, instruct each other, how they develop budget, how they appropriate budget allocations, how they relate between the executive and legislative. These are important factors you have to watch for. Under the New Order, the difference between democracy and authoritarian is that the legislative will be the rubber stamp of the executive. In other words, whatever the president asks, the legislative will follow.
Okay.
And we have watched this happening in the past 10 years.
10 years.
Why? Number one, we thought it's because of the political parties look for position in the cabinet. So the executive, the president, gets stronger and stronger by the day. My indicator is the fact that there are more and more political parties interested to negotiate to get more seats as the cabinet member. So that means, and also the second indicator, more and more bills, more and more draft law come from the president's office instead of from the legislature.
Yes.
So this is not a good sign, actually. It's a sign of coming back to the era where the legislative would say yes to whatever it is that the president is saying. So that's one practice that's not very easy to, to delete, which means you need a strong party who dare to be in opposition.
Yes.
To preserve democracy. So I look at these candidates and look at the political parties that support them.
Yeah.
Which political candidates, which presidential candidates and vice presidential candidates have the braveness to become opposition? That's my question. If they don't dare to lose, then there's a problem with them. That's how I see things. Because in democracy, you may campaign, you wish to win, but you have to be ready to lose and still construct the nation wisely. So that's my hope. So looking at the three, I look at the the political parties behind each candidate. Candidate number two, a lot of it's like a very fat
coalition, yes,
of political parties, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of them comes from the New Order period.
Yeah.
Candidate number one, you see some political parties underneath that have been acting as a opposition. They not easily get what do you call it? Stirred, yeah. Not easily get even deterred, yeah, by the other parties. Even if they say A and the others say B, they don't negotiate.
Yeah.
Same thing with number three. There's one political party there that's very big and very strong, and dare to say no onto the other political party. So 1 and 3 represents reform. That's what I strongly believe. Number 2 represent status quo. 1 and 3 represent reforms. It's just how number 1 and 3 try to differentiate themselves. Number 1 say total reform. Number 3, Ganjar Mahfud say change the better ones. Continue the good ones and change the ones that's not good. So it's your choice. But it's very clear our fight is for democracy. Without democracy, all these things that we have established, freedom of fear, and the ability to have associations, to speak up, to talk freely in the campus, will be gone. Freedom of press like this, we can talk like this and on air, not just in Indonesia, but not also in other countries. This will be gone if we don't have democracy. It can easily be silenced. So I think that's how I picture the 3 candidates.
Nicely put right there. I mean, it covers covers a lot.
A lot on this election day. Now, thank you so much, Benina, for the views on the political scientist views. Now, I want to ask Mas Radit as a lecturer, Mas Radit. We've mentioned about young leaders and also young minds of the leaders. Now, of course, you have lots of first voters on your command, your mahasiswa and mahasiswi. Please share with us, if you have any, some of the stories or testimonies about Election Day 2024 from your perspective, from the campus.
Okay, most young students, they look up for the role model, good role models. So if they see this candidate can become a role model, they will choose.
Okay.
However, we arrive at the 14th day of February, and we also have a lot of day offs,
Day offs, yes.
Approaching the 14th. It gives us some room. So many young students now, go back to their villages, and they will choose in the village, or in the from their home, So they coming from different cities, But because we have, Xinjia or Chinese New Year's day off, and usually we can also doing the course online too. So it enable the young students to vote,
Okay.
So from their home. I think they are very enthusiastic about these elections. Yeah, they want these elections bring their dreams. Yeah, because they have so many dreams. I want, you know, jobs. Yeah, after I graduated, so it's in their mind. So role model and the candidates who can give them choices, freedom. Freedom of thinking, freedom of speeches, and also jobs when they graduated, I think become their candidates to be chosen by them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that is the 3 keywords right there. Role model.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, being one of the largest economy in the world nowadays, Indonesia cannot be separated from international affairs as well. And the young voters are aware of this. They aspire to become global citizens as well as citizens of Indonesia. So more and more the youngs expect a leader who can show up and represent themselves in the global arena. And because of that, they can negotiate better position for Indonesia, including jobs, including protections and recognition for Indonesia. So that's one thing that my students, maybe because my students are international relations students,
international relations, yes.
So it's more focused towards the global,
more focused to the global
side of it. Yes.
You know, more and more students now dare to pay to go to global schools, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Global school, international schools.
Yes.
I think they would agree that international standing is also important to be represented by whoever. So savviness, the ability to articulate what we need as a nation to other countries and not do blunder about it, that's also a choice.
So you mentioned international standings just now. So among all the 3 presidential candidates, who do you think has it?
I'm talking from the perspective of being a diplomat as well, right? Being a diplomat is not just saying, this is what Indonesia wants. Or, you know what, Indonesia is this. Can you give us that? It's not as simple as that. In the international arena, you have to be really complex and sophisticated in saying what you want and making others follow what you need. So you need someone who is subtle. So English doesn't have to be a problem, actually. You can always use translator. But your gesture needs to be wise. That's number one. And then you have to have good records.
Good records.
To represent a democratic country. Democratic country needs leaders who are Democrats, meaning that they actually feel and sense and act you welcome dialogue, you welcome people of different views. If you are as a leader and keep saying, I'm sorry, enough. I cannot answer that, sorry. The more you say sorry, the more you're more aware. You're not a democratic, because democratic people, let me give you an example of even Putin, Putin from Russia, keep trying to show that he is a Democrat, that he is voted by people, which is why he dared to be asked by media from all sorts of different countries and make a very long interview, face to face. You ask me anything, I answer. So you're not afraid of the media, you're not afraid of students, you're not afraid of civil society. That's a democratic leader. That's number one homework. Number two, you have to face, number one, international media.
They're fierce.
And they're fierce. They're really sharp. So if you are not prepared for that, and you tend to be, don't have answers for many things, well, I don't think that will represent Indonesia well. Indonesia has many, not only, candidates keep saying we have lots of resources, but it's not just about the resources. Lots of resources can be a curse. Can be a curse, because a lot of people want a lot for us, but for the world it may be scarce. It may be less than what the world needs. And it's all about competition. The more you keep saying we are rich, we are resourceful, the more people look at you and say, hey, give it away to me.
Exactly, yes.
So you have to be really smart in saying what we have and what we need for other. In international relations, I think my wisdom usually to the younger diplomats is to be humble. At the same time, you appreciate what others can provide to the world, and then you get in.
Do you think President Jokowi has excelled in terms of his international standing during his 2 periods of presidency in Indonesia?
He never quite cared about international affairs.
You think so?
No, he never. He never actually have opportunities for people to have dialogue with him. Many times, opportunities where a dialogue is needed, he will dispatch it to other, either the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs, or Pak LBP, right? Pak Luhut, for instance, or other minister. So he doesn't face the critiques and all the tough questions himself, but he does lots of events. Lots and lots of events. That's his way of.
And last year we have so many international events happening in Indonesia for the world, right?
For the world, yeah. But again, because I'm international affair person, and I
expect more.
I expect more, and I've seen how others have done things. Countries like India, for instance, they don't do lots of international events, and they have, compared to Indonesia, who use big screens like this and lots of musics and bumpers and social media. India doesn't do that. But yet, nobody ignore India because it's already powerful in size, and India is maneuvering really smoothly. I keep watching on India because I think in the future, India will have its own separate standing from Russia and China. And we are not very prepared for that. So I think as a leader, whoever it is, being chosen later on as our president, they have to be aware that not everybody with the same eloquent, look and image on social media will win. So we have to be really careful. Better watch what we say and be more humble.
Now, we're starting to run out of time. We've been chatting for almost 3 hours now.
Almost 3 hours, wow.
It's such an interesting topic. It can go all over, we have so many things to cover. But Mas Radit, we've heard all these presidential and vice presidential candidates talking, telling all their programs, all their promises, especially through the 5 debates. But the question is, will they follow up on their promises and their programs? Because, like a lot of people out there, the apathy people, especially, they're saying, whatever I choose, I will still have to work tomorrow, and there won't be major changes to my life tomorrow. How do we ensure that whoever wins this election will keep their promises to what they have promised during this campaign?
Okay. The good things about the openness discussions in today's era, we can access a lot of informations. To be simple, if you want to choose Anies, for example, candidate number 1, look at Jakarta. If you're satisfied, you choose him. Okay. If you want to choose Pak Prabowo, for example, look at the history about him and also the performance during his administrations becoming the defense ministers. If you're satisfied, choose him. If you want to choose Ganjar, he has been the governor of Jawa Tengah, center of Java. If you're satisfied with what he have done in Jawa Tengah, in Central Java, you may choose him. It's to be simple, So historic performance is very important, to project what's happen next.
Well, as what they say, making promises is easy, but keeping those promises is another thing. But Dina, what do you have to say?
Which is why we need to rely not on individuals, but on a set of political parties that help the candidate, whoever become leaders. Democracy needs to have strong political parties. It cannot be relying on individuals. Individuals are just one that aspire the followers to go into certain direction. But the machineries will have to continue working at the local levels, at the grassroots levels. So for a democracy to survive, let's watch the political parties behind all these candidates. That's why you don't ignore the legislative elections. You have to vote for the political parties whom you think can survive us through the next 5 years. It's a very tough times internationally. It's a, it's a very defining moment. So we have to really think which political party has the commitment and the ability at the grassroots levels, whom you can talk to in your villages.
Yep.
To make sure. That's our contribution. You keep watching and you keep talking to your representatives at the local levels so that those at the top will hear you.
Wow.
Okay. That being said,
So interesting.
it is. It is. We're still on the Election Day special on TVRI World, and we're still waiting for the report on Aceh region and also Bali region. Let's do a quick recap for the 3 hours talk today. We have taken you to Manado, we have taken you to Gorontalo, Jogja, Makassar, and of course Jakarta and Bogor. Now let's take you to Bali. I think Bali is ready. So we will take you to the latest update of Election Day in Bali. Let's check our reporter in Bali. We have in Bali, Ika. Ika, can you please report us to Bali? What happens there in Election Day updates? Go ahead, Ika.
Yes, Narendra, I am currently at the polling stations or TPS 33 Banjar Kaja, Banjar Sub-District, Denpasar Selatan District, Denpasar City. One of the 7 polling stations where all the members are women. If we usually see that the general elections organizers were dominated by men, however, some of the polling stations in Denpasar and Bali generally is starting to be filled by women. Starting from voting organizers group or KPPS, polling station supervisors, witnesses, until security officers. Also, all of the officers and community who are coming to vote today are wearing Balinese traditional clothing to show ethics and also local wisdom in Bali. During a meeting, the chairman of the Denpasar General Election Commission, Dewa Ayu Sekar Anggrani, stated that the placement of female officers starting from the lowest level is as a response to the request of the General Elections Commission of Bali Province to have one polling station that is fully organized by women. The presence of these polling stations where all the members are women is getting positive response because it opens up more space for women to obtain opportunities to engage and also to join in the process of democracy and elections. This report also supports fulfillment of women affirmations according to law number 7, year 2017 about elections, and it also regulates for the organizers, namely the General Election Commissions at the provincial and city or district levels to pay attention to 30% representations of women. And in this TPS 33, there are 291 final voters lists or DPT who use their rights to vote to decide their leaders and also legislative members for the next 5 years. And until now, there are around 100 voters who already cast their votes. And as you can see behind me, the election process is going well and still under control. The people seems very enthusiastic in using their rights to vote because since this morning at 7 a.m. they have started to come to this TPS to and also stay in queue orderly waiting for their turn to be called. Narendra, back to you in Jakarta.
Well, Ika Mahayani, thank you so much. TVRI World reporter reporting from Bali. And it's really nice to see there is a woman representation here that she just mentioned just now. And some people are saying that, you know, it's such a pity that we don't have a women presidential or vice presidential candidate this time around. And we are hoping maybe somewhat in the future.
2029.
Yeah. Now, before we close our special report today on Election Day, we need some closing statement from Badina as well as Mas Radit. Badina, what would you like to say to our audiences today?
Number one, please go to the polling station. Make sure if you're eligible to cast your vote today. Your vote matters. It's important for our democracy. Nobody is unimportant in the election time. maybe you just don't get the process of accumulating your votes into something that matters, but that doesn't mean that your votes doesn't matter, you know. You matter for this democracy, so please cast your vote.
Okay, and you know, I heard this quote once saying, you know, if you don't think a small thing matters, then go inside a room with a mosquito inside. Because that's when, you know, even the smallest things actually matters, and one vote matter. Mas Radit, your closing statement, please.
I think the process of elections is very, very important. Countings, recap, consolidations of the calculations. We need transparency, we need integrity, we need fairness. And let's us have this elections day becoming a happy day for, you know, elections. And also the unity is very, very important. Let's keep our nations peaceful, so we have these general elections becoming the momentum for us to do the leapfrog in order to reach our goal in 2045. Yep.
Yes.
Said right there.
The goal in Indonesia, Luisa. So that being said, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you for having us.
Adit and Medina.
Thank you.
Lastly, our report from Aceh. It comes from Teku Adil in Aceh. Teku Adil, if you can hear us in Jakarta, please report to us the election day there, the latest update in Aceh. Go ahead, Teku Adil.
Yeah, thank you, Loisa and Narendra. Now we are reporting directly from Central Aceh District or in Aceh Province, where today is the long-awaited day where all eligible voters across Indonesia, including in Aceh Province, will exercise their right to vote to determine the next direction for the next Indonesia for 5 years later. And also, all preparation has been also made by the election organizing committee before. And of course, this is to ensure all the process to make sure that the general election success and also smooth running of this year feast of democracy. Loisa and Narendra, we can also report that based on the data from Aceh General Election Commission, there are around 3,742,037 registered voters in the final voter list, which spread across 23 cities in region in Aceh Province, where the most voters located at the North Aceh, which has more than 400,000 voters, and also at the PD region or the PD district, that's around 314,000 voters. Interestingly, Loisa and Narendra, the general election in Aceh is not only followed by the national party, but also followed or additional with 6 local parties here, where, as we know that this has become the special of Aceh. Aceh is the only province which has local or regional political parties, where as a result from the negotiation between the Indonesian government and the Free Aceh Movement or GAM in the Helsinki Peace of Memorandum back in 2005. But the presence of these local political parties in this contestation of the general election started since 2007, where the MOU or these agreements give the benefits to Acehese people, to us, to govern our province independently, but of course despite monitoring by the national government. Back to you, Loisa and Narendra.
Teku Adil, thank you so much for your live report right there from Aceh. And I guess that is the end of our special report today. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here on TVRI World for the first 3 hours of Election Day report. Please don't go anywhere, because we will have a continuous reportage through the entire day and to check on all across Indonesia how the election process and especially the quick count process later on today. And once again, thank you to our very special guest today. We have Madina Prapto Raharja, political scientist specializing in diplomacy, political economy. Can you show us your pinky again? Once again, vote.
Yes, cast the vote. Yeah, go vote, everybody.
Your vote matters. And of course, to Dr. Radityo F. Arianto, a lecturer from University of Pelita Harapan. Yep. Thank you so much for joining us here today and sharing your insights with us.
Yes. And once again, do not forget that we are live in TVRI World for this election day up until 8 p.m. And more to come. Up next, we will have Uli Herdi and also Stephanie Silitonga for the national voting updates. So that being said, my name is Narendra Pawaka and this is my partner,
Luisa Kusnandar. Thank you so much for watching TVRI World. Stay tuned and we'll see you again next time. And happy Election Day and happy Valentine's Day.
Yes. Bye-bye.
See you. Thank you.